Tracking the Tropics will begin momentarily. Tracking the Tropics will begin momentarily. Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics.
Breaking news on Tracking the Tropics. The death toll increases from Hurricane Ian, which as of minutes ago is back to Category 1 hurricane status as we take you live to Southwest Florida, an area described as being like a war zone after Wednesday's landfall. Hey there, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA now on Tracking the Tropics, powered by Handyman Roofing. We're going to get to this track update. Yes, Ian is back to Hurricane Ian as of minutes ago, as of the 5 o'clock advisory. We're going to break it down with meteorologist Eric Stone. But first, I'd like to bring in Brian Entin of News Nation, joining us, everybody, from the Fort Myers area. Brian, we're looking here at some of the video that you have been shooting with your team on the ground in the Fort Myers area. How are you, and what can you describe for us as far as the last several hours in an area that, as we understand it, has been decimated after Wednesday's landfall?
Yeah, hey, JB. Yeah, we went to San Carlos Island, which is near Fort Myers Beach. It's like a barrier island off the coast of Fort Myers that really had among the worst damage of anywhere. And it was really, really bad. I mean, a lot of homes blown down. The concrete structures that are still standing, they had 12 to 15 feet of water inside. We talked to one man who rode out the storm on the second floor. The water kept rising. He had to punch out the wall to get out with his wife. He got on a jet ski to try and check on his neighbors, and says that he discovered several of his neighbors had passed away from drowning during the storm. So it's a terrible, terrible scene out there, and the water is still so high. It was difficult getting out there. We have a Tahoe, and we were kind of like, should we actually like go through this water? But we decided to just push through. But like if you have a small car, the people who live there, their cars are flooded. Like they're basically stuck out there right now with no help.
So as we look here at some of the video that you and your team have been shooting, and I'll show the second one, I also want to remind our audience, too, we now do have a helicopter flying over the coast. We're going to go to that chopper shot from one of our sister stations here in just a minute. Brian, there have been so many people in our comment section who are desperately trying to reach out to people on the coast in these coastal communities, trying to reach out and get in touch with loved ones, but are unable to do so. Of course, they are fearing the worst. There are people out there that are scared for their loved ones because it's now been, for some of them, 24 hours since the last time they heard from them. What is it like out there as far as communication? As I understand it, cellular infrastructure is difficult, even though right now you're joining us from Zoom and you seem to have a pretty good signal at the moment.
Well, we had to drive back into downtown Fort Myers, which was about a 40-minute drive. That's the only reason we were able to do the Zoom with you or send back any of our stories or video. We were totally cut off out there. I had zero cell phone service. So there's no power, there's no water. So for people who aren't hearing from family members, it might just be because they have no way to communicate. And again, like most people's cars were totally flooded. The water went all the way up to the second floor. So even if you had an SUV and you were able to go through the water to get out today, it likely didn't start and doesn't work. So that could be part of the reason to sort of, calm people down if they're not hearing from loved ones at this point.
We only have another few minutes with Brian, so we're going to get to perhaps one of our hashtag-based questions and comments that we have out of the YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and yes, TikTok Live comment section. Let's get to this question that just came in from YouTube Live with hashtag Hey Brian. For you, Brian Entin, what is the oddest thing that you saw with this storm, and any stories that you can share?
Ooh, oddest thing. I think it was odd from the beginning. I mean, you're in Tampa. I was in Tampa up until 2 days ago. We all thought that that's where this thing was going to go. I think it was odd that, things changed at the last minute. I know that happens, but it was unfortunate because I don't think a lot of the people here were ready. It seemed like Tampa Bay was prepared. I don't think here overall, I think people were caught off guard. So that was odd. How it's such a massive storm, the fact that it's impacting almost the entire state of Florida. I mean, there's so many things about it that make it I think a unique storm.
Brian Entin joining us, everybody, again from News Nation. And Brian, of course, before we go, just to check, I think a lot of folks just wanting to know how you're doing. You've been, of course, covering the storm the last couple of days. You've been in the disaster area. I know that you actually follow him on Twitter, folks. You're probably one of the gajillion people that do follow him already on Twitter. But as far as Brian goes, you've been on the ground, even helping people out there, in addition to reporting on the occurrences of the storm. So how you holding up out there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing fine. It's obviously tiring doing this, especially there's no power, there's no water, there's no like hot food or anything. But when you look at what other people are going through, the fact that, people have died and there's surely a lot of people that we don't even know about that have passed away. I mean, you really can't complain. And I just feel so bad for this community. It's going to be, it's going to be a long road. There's debris everywhere. The power infrastructure is terrible. There's wires all over the place. So, at the end of the day, this isn't my hometown. I really I feel for the people who this is their home.
Brian, I'm sending you my best, my friend. I hope you're all right out there, and send my best to your entire team. Thank you for all the work that you're doing, and I'll continue, as all of us will. We'll follow you on social media for the very latest. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, JB. You're the best. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, back here with you live, folks. The big thing to note right now is that the death toll is increasing. We've got a death in Volusia County, 6 in Charlotte County, 2 now in Sarasota County. Eric, you were asking me a few moments ago about Sarasota County.
Yeah.
We did get that confirmed, 2 in Sarasota. And now we keep hearing about this number 5 from the Leigh County Sheriff's Office. However, we're just waiting on official confirmation for the Leigh County Sheriff. I think that they are trying to assess the situation in Leigh County. If the 5 number is accurate, and again, as it's been told to me, is at least 5, that would make it 14 deaths so far as a result of Hurricane Ian in Southwest Florida, and we'll continue to try to even keep you updated on this live stream. But what I want to show you right now is, oh, no, not that. My phone is off at the moment. This is the chopper feed that is giving us some images from what we can see here. Here's U.S. Coast Guard. Their helicopter appears to be U.S. Coast Guard. So this is live from over the disaster area, and we'll pay attention to this shot because these chopper signals are giving us just a very wide view of what it is like. Look at these streets, Eric. This is an area that got absolutely decimated.
Yeah, that almost looks like Fort Myers Beach there, being on the other side of it. Look at the roofs. I mean, 120, 130 mile per hour wind. You know, these houses have been there for quite a long time. They haven't been built since Andrew. And that means they're not up to the, Cat 5 code or Cat 3 code. I mean, look at every single one of these houses has extensive damage. I mean, they're all, uninhabitable. Ugh. Yeah. It's really a shame to see that.
And it's hard to find. Sometimes we have flown, helicopters, or we've seen drone video where we go over the disaster area and there's, a few streets that look like they're doing, okay. Like some streets were hit harder than others. In the hardest hit areas, it's just about every home. It's just about every section of the block. If it was hit hard, then it's usually the entirety of the block or the entirety of even that section of the neighborhood. We're seeing widespread damage being reported. And the big thing to remember is that Ian is not done yet. There is an update, and it is a significant one, back to Category 1 strength. So if you'd like to take it away, Eric will send you over to the wall for the very latest. As far as the forecast, there's Ian now officially in the Atlantic, moving northeast at 10 miles per hour, and now expected to make this turn towards the Carolina coast.
When we talk about damage and we talk about damage from a tornado, a lot of times you'll see some houses that they do seem like they're okay, and then other houses, they have extensive damage. But again, that's a tornado, right? Sometimes a tornado will take one path and whatever's in its path is destroyed. While a hurricane, it's so big and it's so wide. That's why we're seeing damage everywhere. Houses that were built, before the early 90s or the mid 90s. I mean, you saw it. And we're going to see more of that to come, unfortunately. All right, now let's talk about the future. At least things are quieted down, or have quieted down, in Southwest Florida. Now, Ian is a hurricane yet again. It's a Category 1 storm, 75 miles per hour. The good news is it is expected to remain a 75 to 80 mile per hour storm. But remember, I said I thought that this would be a little bit higher, maybe even a Category 2. The last update had a 75 mile per hour Category 1 right around the Charleston area. Now it's up to 80. The trend with this storm has been that the forecasters have underdone this, right? 155 mile per hour storm when it made landfall. And now look, now it's already going up again. 80 mile per hour storm in North Carolina and affecting South Carolina, rather, and affecting North Carolina. So let's check out the model plots, right? The spaghetti plots, as we say. Some people are saying, oh my gosh, it's going back in the Atlantic. What's going to happen in the mid-Atlantic states or New England? What's happening is this storm is going to dissipate over western North Carolina. It's going to interact with a cold front that is going to push this, and the cold front and the storm will merge together and equally join, moving to the east. And we will see this lose its characteristics and lose much of its wind as well, but not before making landfall again in the southern portions, or now central portions, of South Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if the track moves even further up the coast. Now let's take a look at the wobble tracker. We were watching this all morning when it was moving east-northeast, yet the track was showing it moving north-northeast, right? So what happens is when it moves further east of the track, all of a sudden, the track can't still be here. It's got to move to the east. That has been the trend with this storm the entire duration. While it's been in the southern Gulf of Mexico, even south of Cuba, it started to make that northerly turn sooner than later. And that gave us a hint that instead of it being in the Panhandle, it was going to be closer to the Bay Area, and then eventually it kept wobbling to the east, and that made the track further south into Southwest Florida. Now let's take a look locally what we're expecting for the rest of the Bay Area. It's still a little breezy outside. I finally stepped outside in the daylight for the first time in 2 days. I saw some palm fronds around, some branches on the side of the road. Nothing major here in Tampa. Look what happens though. Friday morning, here it is, hurricane force wind right in the coast of South Carolina. So we'll be watching this over the next couple of days. Yet again, we thought it was over, but it's not over. Some of the key notable rivers, the Peace River, the Myakka River, Myakka State Park, Horseshoe, Little Manatee River. There are several rivers, in fact, many areas of the Peace River that are going to be affected as the flooding continues. Now, water's being run off, right? The rain that hit 12 plus inches, even up to 20 in a swath right from Polk County down towards Sarasota County. The water's got to go somewhere. It finds its way toward a river, and eventually the rivers overflow. So we might think it's over because we're not seeing any rain right now. Problem is, the rivers continue to rise several days later. So starting today, tomorrow, and lasting through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday, they will crest and they will be above flood stage. So again, if you live near any of these rivers or near any river, you may still be at risk of flooding. Now, current wind speed, notice many stations are out. The wind is so strong that the sensors at airports and wherever they're located have malfunctioned. So we're not getting all the reports. If you go to the National Weather Service in Tampa and you click on TPA observations, there hasn't been a report since yesterday evening, all right? And even in Tampa, it wasn't that bad. Punta Gorda reported at the airport 123 mile per hour wind gust, and then all of a sudden the sensor was gone. I'm surprised it lasted that long, but wow. Okay, so what we're seeing is wind speeds right around 20 miles per hour at most. We are seeing the wind die down, so that is good news. And in terms of wind gusts, we are not seeing wind gusts over tropical storm force. That is most likely why they've opened the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. And as you can see, St. Petersburg, one of the higher readings at 37 miles per hour in the way of wind gusts. But for the most part, between 20 and 30 is what we're expecting. And for the rest of the evening, things quiet down. So it's going to be a lot better come this evening and into tomorrow, almost normal in the way of wind, definitely as we head into Saturday and into the weekend. But again, folks up north, especially in the Carolinas, especially South Carolina, in the Charleston area, they may be experiencing another Category 1 hurricane.
Yeah, Eric, I just saw that there was a fire somewhere here on the coast. And so that's why I came back over here a little bit early to try to show everybody what is going on. This chopper feed is very, very interesting. We're going to follow this live for the next 5-10 minutes or so as they trek along the coast and bring us some live aerials here, because this video is very, very interesting, showing us some of the most significant impacts from Hurricane Ian. What we are going to do is we are now going to make the rotation around Facebook Live, YouTube Live, TikTok Live, and Twitter for your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyEric questions and comments as we look here at just some of the property carnage that exists here as a result of Hurricane Ian. That house is
huge,
thoroughly
too.
Destroyed, and it is big, as you know.
These are some of these homes, especially along the beach, are $1 million houses. And boy,
wow,
the damage
off
is
the foundation.
Just, yeah, look at that. I mean, that house was almost blown into the other. It probably was. I mean, it's just unreal what we're seeing and what we're going to continue to see in the days to come.
You know, what's so interesting here is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking here, and I'm trying to tell, but really the storm surge has in large part subsided, correct?
Yes.
So what we're looking at here, some of the area, some of the ground here, we're seeing some beach that got pushed inland, correct?
It looks like Fort Myers Beach, correct. That's what happens. See, when you get the storm surge, you don't only get water being pushed on shore. And we saw this with Hurricane Sandy. When the waters receded, there was so much sand on the roadways and so much sand. And, you know, small granular sand, it goes everywhere. And that's what's happening. You see the sand on the roads. You see the sand in the debris and the houses. The sand doesn't go back out. Not all the sand goes back out. It gets left there. And that just makes a mess. And look at this house right here. Unbelievable.
As we're frozen on the signal and waiting for it to restore itself, just goes to show, yeah. And isn't it just absolutely crazy that palm trees can still be standing? Palm trees are so resilient. It takes a lot to take them down, and a lot of them are still standing, but still causing destruction to the house right next to that palm tree. But the palm tree remains upright.
Boy, imagine if houses were built like palm trees.
Got to develop the technology somehow, some way, because the palm trees are still, many of them still standing. Looking here back now at some of the disaster area, now that the signal has come back, and I believe now that they have circled back around, because I think I might have seen this house in particular
from the other direction. Yeah.
Yep.
There looks like there's still maybe some water there. You see that? Unless that's just a wet roadway. But
you know what? Because now we have a clean signal, what we're going to do is we're just going to put our boxes away, and we'll be right back. We're going to stay here with you commentary-wise if we can. But we'll stay full screen. And of course, as I say that,
look at that house, though. I mean, the shot's freezing up at the perfect moments to really see the damage. That looks like, I can't tell if that's a fridge. I mean, that
might be a laundry machine.
Yeah, these are people's property from inside their house that the water comes up and everything starts to float because there's several feet of water in the house. And the wind destroys the house, the water destroys the house, and then when the water recedes, things are still floating.
Let's go to our hashtag-based Q&A. Listen to learn, hashtag AJB, just begging for an update on Bonita Springs.
Yeah, Bonita Springs is right between Fort Myers and Naples. And so the southern end of what we call Estero Island, which on the northern end is Fort Myers Beach. On the southern end is Bonita Beach and Bonita Springs. Bonita Springs goes all the way to I-75 and even further to the east. So in the Bonita Springs area, along the coast, I'm sure they were devastated. Not as much as Fort Myers Beach because they weren't in the eye wall, but still the storm surge was definitely an issue in Bonita Beach, like it was in Fort Myers Beach.
As we're getting some of the feedback now and looking wide here at, look, a beautiful section of our state. You know,
I
way
know
better
it
than
firsthand.
I do.
I know
way
it
better
firsthand.
than I do. So this is an absolutely gorgeous area with some unbelievable homes here, but homes that have suffered significant damage. This looks like a complex here as well. Let's and we'll come back to this feed really quickly. Let's go to TikTok. Julie Silva on the WFLA JB TikTok page, hashtag AJB. What is the forecast for Asheville, North Carolina? As we look here, here's what appears to be a chopper that has landed somewhere on the beach or near the beach and dropped off some personnel there. Asheville, North Carolina is how far away from the coast?
It's pretty far away.
Yeah, it's inland.
Yeah, definitely. So they're not going to worry about much the rain, of course. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, it's going to be a depression by the time it even makes its way into North Carolina. So I don't even think you're going to see tropical storm force wind. If you do, maybe wind gusts. But all in all, and I've got the cone up right now so we can see exactly where this is going to go in the Carolinas. I did have the cone up. There we are. Let's put this in motion. So again, there's Charleston. Asheville is to the west.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, it's going to be a tropical depression. You're probably not, you know breezy days in Asheville, right? It's not going to be any worse than that, although you could get several inches of rain out of this, but it's not going to be in the least devastating. And I wouldn't be surprised if this track continues to move to the east. Now, this is going to merge with a cold front. So you're going to get rain from the front and rain from Ian, but I don't think it's going to be more than a 20 to 30 at most mile-an-hour wind.
For power outages, folks, we want to remind our audience that you can go to WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I know there's a lot of folks asking about power outages, but I just want to show you here really quickly on my phone this here. If we go to WFLA.com and we scroll down here, we have the wobble tracker. When will your Publix store reopen? A lot of people wanting to know about that. And how to report damage and outages is on here. And it's on here, but there is a power outage tracker that we have, and I'll make sure that it gets bumped up here to the top of our page. Our digital staff is producing so much content to help people out that I think that the power tracker got pushed down a little bit. Oh, hey, there's you and I.
All right.
It is on here, I promise. And our team right now, I know they're watching this feed, so we will make sure that the power tracker, power outage tracker is updated and available to you on WFLA.com. Abigail Carlson, hashtag Hey Eric, any updates on Venice and Englewood?
Yeah, the only thing I've got is that people, friends of mine from Englewood have gotten a hold of me. I used to go to church up there for several years. And so it's well north and well west of Fort Myers, very close to the coast. In fact, Englewood, there's a beach right there, a very nice one. Englewood did get hit really hard. The people that I've talked to, they live further in, several miles inland from the coast. And as they said, it was bad. They weren't flooded out. And of course, the immediate coast. You know what? Englewood was just to the north of landfall. So the water was actually coming out and blowing the water away from the Gulf. Although it was taking water from Charlotte Harbor and the Myakka River and blowing it toward the Englewood area. So 776 most likely did flood, but we are seeing those waters recede in a pretty timely manner within about 24 hours or so. So still maybe some flood waters up there, but probably not.
Lord Andrew, YouTube Live, hashtag HJB. Why are we still getting very strong wind gusts in Fruitland Park, Florida, over in Lake County?
Yeah, I mean, you're still getting some of those bands. And remember, the tropical storm force wind is 150 to 175 miles away from the center. That's still in the Orlando area, even, into Polk County. So, of course, Lake County, you're definitely within that window. Rain looks like things are starting to quiet down. But
wow, check this out. Hold on. There's that fire I was talking about. So this chopper feed now showing us a fire here. And that might also be that could be man-made as far as burning through some debris. We don't know exactly what the reality is for that particular fire. We have no idea what the cause of it is, or but just wanted to show you that we do have a fire on the coast. I don't know exactly where this is in relation to Sarasota, Leigh, and Charlotte counties. Of course, they're just going back and forth on the coastline. But I just wanted to show everybody that for a second.
It looks like they're going down to Estero Island, which is all of Leigh County. Again, the northern end, Fort Myers Beach, that I believe is where we were seeing extensive damage. I do believe they're looking to the south. They're heading southward now, maybe. I mean, there's still a lot of damage. Oh, they're looking back at the same. They're in the same area, that big gray house. But yeah, I believe
this might be a repeat. I think this is a repeat of the feed.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a re-feed of the feed for stations that might have missed it, including our own.
Yeah.
So yes, we saw this earlier. So this is clearly now being a feedback, but makes sense that I saw the fire again. So that all of this makes sense now. So this is a refeed of the flight that we brought you at the beginning of the live stream, which is of course good to show you because it's just a reminder of how bad it is in this area. That house there on bottom left appeared to be mostly intact, while this one, it's
there's nothing left. I mean, I don't even know if that's a house or apartment building.
Let me remind our audience, Governor DeSantis is going to be speaking at 6 o'clock. He will have updates on power outages. He will have updates or the efforts to restore power, I should say, rather. Updates to restore cellular, likely updates on how you contact somebody, your insurance agent, and how important that is. It's also really important not to fall for scams. It's very real as far as, and DeSantis noted this earlier, and I was glad that he was able to point this out, is that he noted that there are people that will go to these areas now and look to prey on naive victims of the storm and look to prey on gullible individuals. And look, they can be extraordinarily convincing. It's their job to do so and try to get you involved in a scam, a scheme, a plot to steal your money, or at least to take advantage of you and price gouge significantly. So you got to be really careful as far as making sure that you're talking to your, the people that you know, rather than the newcomers into town who might be just looking to really take advantage and make a penny off of your hardship. It's really important that we remind our audience of that.
Yeah, I have a friend in St. Augustine that, he used to fix up houses and roofs and stuff like that. And he says what they do is they come to your door and they make you think that they're an actual company.
Yep.
And every single company, they're going to ask you for a down payment. So like, I can't really, for example, say that house. But if you had, if you needed a new roof and it was $25,000, they say, well, we need 20% down, and you think they're a legit company, and you give them $5,000, and then all of a sudden they're gone, and you never see them again. So there's a lot of that going on after these storms. People prey on people, on these, vulnerable people that are, have lost everything, and they don't care.
Let's go to two towns that we're being asked for updates on. Look, I'm making the rounds between Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and TikTok, but TikTok is a much smaller comment section. So the chances of me getting to your question on TikTok are greater. And I'm just being honest with you because YouTube Live is a very active comment section. Facebook is kind of a medium to heavy as comment section as far as the comments coming in. And then TikTok, I get 3 comments a minute or so. So it's at WFLAJB on TikTok, and I'll try to grab as many over there, including from Professus Infamous on TikTok. How about that for a name? Hashtag KJB, can you show Northport? I do not have any live feeds of Northport. I have seen pictures from Northport. I might be able to show you guys some pictures from Northport that a friend of mine sent me. Let me see if I can get this on screen.
Yeah, Jack Royer was down there reporting.
Yes, he was.
And, conditions got so bad, which we knew because Northport was in the northern eye wall, the western eye wall. I mean, it must have been 3-4 hours. They were getting nailed with 100+ mile an hour wind.
That's perfect. Eric, excuse me, because Jack is tweeting out these images. He tweeted this out with, here, let me put this away. 1 second, folks. If I hit this button, I can put away our banner. So this is from Jack. Calls it Monster Storm. Here he is in it. So this is some of the images from Northport.
Yeah, and he was out in that yesterday, and he was in that parking lot reporting, and he had to seek shelter fast because when you get into the eye wall, things go from bad to worse really quickly. And that's what happened.
Another one here from Jack 5 hours ago, Circle K. We see this a lot during hurricanes. The overhangs of that of the gas stations, they just crumple up.
Yep.
They're sheet metal, so they usually just crumple up. Now look, it's no small feat to take one of them down, but usually just that wind will pick up enough underneath of it that it just kind of rips it, directly off the top of the structure that actually holds up the overhang. The pumps themselves in some regards.
And the other thing you see is when you see a sign like a 7-Eleven sign or whatever store it may be, you'll see that glass being blown out, and you'll see the fluorescent light in between, but the glass will be completely gone. And I expect we'll see a lot of that. I remember seeing a lot of that after Irma.
Let's, nope. We already went to Professor Infamous. Let's go to Audrey Wilson. Hi, Audrey. Hope you're well. Hashtag AJB. Yes, please update for Jacksonville.
Yeah, and you can see on the wobble tracker, which, again, I've noticed that it is still going east of that blue line. So in the Jacksonville area.
Let's throw that up.
In the Jacksonville area, the worst isn't quite over yet. Maybe if you live West Jacksonville. But you notice the center of circulation just to the east of that blue line right there. It's hard to see because it's not much of an eye. But for Jacksonville, you're still getting that wind out of the northeast. And that is still blowing water on the beaches. And it's still flooding parts of Jacksonville in the east that would normally flood, especially when it's raining heavy and they're getting tropical storm force wind, and it will continue the next several hours. It won't really improve until, after dark, after 8, 9 o'clock, and then it'll really improve once this thing, gets well out into the Atlantic. As we head into the overnight hours tonight, we'll see that rain come to an end.
I know the perfect graphic for this next question. It's the one that shows the winds. You know, the one I'm talking about, the red center, orange, and yellow, the spread of the winds.
Yep.
I'll let you cue that up because Ruth is asking, hashtag, hey, JB and Eric, just now tuning in, so please excuse me if you already answered this. See how kind it is in the comment section. How many miles from out from the center are the winds? I live in Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you for all you've done this season. Thanks, Ruth. We appreciate that. So she's asking this map as it relates to where she is in Wilmington, North Carolina. I don't know if we can actually put it over Wilmington, North Carolina.
So what I'll do is I will put a ruler. And Wilmington is along the south coast of North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I'll put a ruler from the center of the storm, or actually from one end of the storm to the other. I'll do it right now. And you'll see just how many miles it is. So right here's the center of the storm. In Florida, it's 165 miles. That's 330 altogether, okay? Now, when I put this in motion, you'll see, let's just get all the way up.
This is interactive forecasting.
It is, definitely.
This is
so you see tropical storm force wind extends a lot more on the northeast side, which is typical. So this is about 240 miles.
Wow.
So when you're talking about Wilmington, which is right in this general area, you're about 160 miles away. When you go toward Columbia, the distance is only about 100 miles, and then toward Savannah, it's pretty close to 100 miles. So Wilmington is going to feel tropical storm force wind out of this. There's no doubt in my mind. Pretty cool.
That is so helpful.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm grateful that we have these tools. Technology can really be great. So Ruth, hopefully that we were able to, answer that question for you in a thorough manner. Let's go to Steven's question. Steven, thank you for asking this because it gives me an opportunity to update our audience. Hashtag HJB, what is the confirmed casualty count? I have it as 1 in Volusia County. I have it as 6 in Charlotte County. And I have it as 2 in Sarasota County. So we can say 9 confirmed. And then we keep hearing this report of the Leigh County Sheriff's Office saying that there were at least 5 there. So that would, of course, make it 14. But the validity of that report, things right now, look, are communication-wise are very, very difficult. And there have been some challenges with communication. So 9 with a very high degree of confidence, and 14 with a medium high degree of confidence, because Leigh County is really trying to assess the situation, and they're dealing with a lot down there. And hopefully we'll be able to get an updated count in their next media availability or via their next press release. Communication. This is not anything out of the ordinary for storms.
No, I mean, when you think about this, JB, all those people, if they stayed at their house on Fort Myers Beach or Sanibel or Captiva, even Pine Island, but not so much. If they stayed at their house, you wonder how they could have possibly survived.
This to me, see, this is, you want to know, this comment, Becky on TikTok, this is very helpful, Becky. So I want to just first thank you for a report like this. We're going to go to Becky on TikTok. It is this comment. Okay, Becky Sweetser on TikTok, hashtag HeyJB. My dad just called from Port Charlotte. He had to go to Northport for signal, no power or water. And this is exactly what we're hearing from our crews in the field, moving away from the coast and moving to Northport. So people keep asking how Northport is doing. Look, it was still hit by a Category 4 hurricane. Northport got hit hard.
For several hours.
And triple-digit winds, and we're talking about a significant impact there. But relatively speaking, Northport is in a better state right now than some of the other coastal communities that dealt with the storm surge and some of the other just really just the brunt of the landfall event that occurred Wednesday around 3 o'clock.
Right. So now Port Charlotte, there's a lot to the west of Port Charlotte, Englewood, Rotunda, in that area, Venice. Port Charlotte is on the Charlotte Harbor. So they're not going to see storm surge from the Gulf, but they could see it from Charlotte Harbor. Again, this storm moved pretty much right up Charlotte Harbor. So the storm surge could have been worse if it was more to the north of the storm, right? I should say if Port Charlotte was south of the storm was north. But Port Charlotte and Northport are neighbors. If you go up I-75 or US 41, or you even go eastward, you're going to hit Northport from Port Charlotte. So thankfully, even though they're really close to each other, if they were able to get water from the next town up, that's a little bit of good news in my book.
Let's go to the next comment. Just texting a friend of mine. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm texting, multitasking, doing a lot. Let's go to Heather Ferris on... That's a good question. On TikTok Live. And move this down and bring this in here. There it is. Okay. On the touchscreen, Heather Ferris. Hashtag KJB, what made the storm go more southeast than originally predicted? You've answered this question before, so I'm going to ask you to answer it again. But let's just remind our audience for a moment. This was a system that was, looking pretty bad for Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay was we were, we're here in Tampa, and we were bracing for, a Mike Tyson right hook from this thing. And right. All of a sudden, the model trends began to shift more to the south, more to the southeast. And the reason for that is...
It's a cold front. So basically, if this was a month ago, we wouldn't have any cold fronts anywhere near our area. And this storm would have moved up and it would have hit the Panhandle or maybe even further west, but probably, right around Apalachicola or so. But because a cold front was coming in from the north and Ian interacted with that front, it can't really push through the front, even though the front was really, really weak. It didn't merge with the front because the front was weakening. So what happens is the front and the trough that's digging down, pushing the front into our area, and the jet stream, right, which is to our north, kind of sucked Ian to the northeast. It guided Ian to the northeast. And again, that's why it made that turn, and it continued to wobble back and forth. But all in all, it was pretty much moving to the northeast, so that's why.
Let's go to this comment. And, I'll tell you what. Terry Dean, I have to explain something to our audience here regarding this. Hashtag HJB, this is from YouTube Live. Have you seen any aerial footage of coastal mobile home parks? I've only seen the luxury homes. And, so let me explain. Because we were supposed to have Eagle 8 available to us, but sometimes things, when it comes to storm coverage, not everything works out how you planned it. So if we had Eagle 8, we're tapping into chopper signal, chopper feeds from other stations. And we don't have the ability to radio in. If we had Eagle 8, I could radio into them right now and say, hey, go to Northport, go to the mobile homes, go to Englewood, go to these areas, and that's interactive chopper streaming, which is very, very new and next level, and something that we do here at WFLA that is very unique. And Eagle 8 on station management, they had no other choice. Eagle 8, of course, is so important to our overall operation here at WFLA. It's extremely important to broadcast. It's extremely important to the interactive work we do on digital and station management. They looked at all the options on the map as to where Eagle 8 HD could be brought for, to keep it safe from the storm. Because you got to remember, as of really Sunday into Monday, we're talking about, Eric, a direct hit to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, even Monday.
And so there was real concerns about Eagle because if Eagle gets damaged while here in Tampa Bay, then all of a sudden we don't have that as a resource to be able to fly. So station management had to look around the area, and they had to move it to a destination that I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but in the state of Florida that is ways away from here. And because of that movement, we don't have Eagle 8 as a resource. So if you're tuning in for Eagle 8, we are hoping to have that back in the hours and days ahead. It is currently in the process as far as getting it back. And to the commenters, there's already commenters who are mentioning Paul's name, and it's been a difficult day for us here, especially because Paul is on the tip of our tongues. Paul is on our minds. And of course, Paul was the voice of Eagle 8 HD, who some of you probably know already, because if you follow me online, he passed away earlier this year, and he was the voice of reason of Eagle 8 HD. So we do not have Eagle, and we thank you. I already see the commenters coming in. We thank the commenters. David, I saw your comment. Very kind. Thank you for mentioning Paul's name, because Paul would have been a terrific storyteller. Because like you, Eric, you know what you have in common with Paul?
What's that?
You know every nook and cranny of this coast more than I ever could. You guys really are geographical experts, and you can identify landmarks from the sky. And so it's the I think that Paul would be smiling down on your coverage, Eric.
Paul
I
also
will
worked
say that
at NBC in Fort Myers years and years and years and years ago.
as a young guy, right?
Yep. And now, in regards to that question, I have traveled all of Captiva, all of Sanibel, all of Fort Myers Beach, all of Estero Island, all of Naples along the coast. I have never seen a mobile home park right on the coast. There may be a reason for that, because in a hurricane, it would have no chance whatsoever. So the only chance of a mobile home park anywhere near the coast, I mean, I just don't remember. And I've been, hundreds of times I've traveled the coast here or there, and I've never seen a mobile home park along the immediate coast. They would be decimated, even in a strong tropical storm to a Category 1 hurricane.
I thought that the comment was not to say that there isn't, but you're right. I've never seen a mobile home park on the water.
Right.
So,
and homes along the water go for a lot of money, even if they don't look like, because they're waterfront homes.
Yeah.
So
now could there be? I'm trying to remember the commenter. I don't have it in the queue anymore.
It was why do we show the expensive homes, but we don't show the mobile homes along the coast?
Because I don't think there really are a lot of mobile.
Yeah,
maybe they were speaking in generalities. Why don't we go 5 minutes inland and look at some of the...
Because we see the most damage along the coast.
Right.
So that's what people kind of hone in on first. And then they go...
And look, it might have been kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of comment, like, why are you showing the expensive homes? Why aren't you showing the other homes? Look, it's not our chopper. We're tapping into a feed that isn't ours. And also, too, it's because, as Eric just said, the damage is catastrophic here. Not to say it's not catastrophic inland, but look, I will bring this video in and show everybody a little bit of damage from some of the modular home and mobile home communities, just so that everybody can see that we've been showing this on stream all day. And let me bring this in.
Yes.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, a $200,000 home that's inland, if you put that on the beach, that home is worth $750,000 or more.
This video.
Right.
Here you go. We've been showing this all day.
Yeah. Yep. So there it is. And boy, modular home parks, mobile home parks, they're not, I mean, the homes are small, they're not sturdy, the roofs flip off relatively easily in a strong major hurricane like this. You watch this one. That's gone.
Eric, watch it. Watch all that insulation go.
Yep. Yeah, we've been watching this all day, and it's really saddening to see that.
And more of the video from Brian Entin that we were able to play, of course, over the 10 or so minutes that he joined us. But here's just some of the video from his crew that they were able to gather and send our way for his appearance here on Tracking the Tropics.
Now that's a road. Those boats aren't in the open water. You see telephone poles there. Those boats are floating down the road. So keep in mind where they came from. I don't even see the Gulf of Mexico in that shot right there. I just see a road going down. Look at that blue house on the left. I mean, that's almost covered to the roof, JB, you know?
And let's acknowledge the obvious. It's a beautiful boat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, which one? That one or the one it runs into?
I think they're all great.
Right.
But this one, in our,
exactly.
I got a great shot of this one, and that is a fantastic and very expensive boat that is floating away.
Yeah.
As we look here, again, at just how the wind is just pushing, carrying, causing all this momentum. And really, the boat is, fully in motion.
But that floodwater is so high. I mean, it's almost to the roof of that house behind that boat. I mean, look, it's almost to the power lines. It's almost to the wires.
That boat.
Look at that.
I mean, look. They're all great boats. If it's your boat, it's a great boat. If you own it, you love that boat. Even though it probably drains every penny out of your wallet, it's your boat. And you don't want to see it float away if it's yours. You want to see it safe and sound and functioning when you need it to go have fun on the Gulf Coast. And so seeing this, if it's your boat, it's probably heartbreaking. And you're probably asking, where's my boat? That's what I would be asking.
It's on a road
where is my
somewhere.
boat?
I don't know. It's a shame.
It is. And and look, some of these boats could be homes for people. You just don't know. Looking for some other comments in the comment section. We'll continue to show you guys some of the video. I think that the feed is in full repeat mode because it's showing even this freeze frame that we saw earlier. NBC is refeeding this back over and over again for stations that need it or missed it, depending on their time zone and depending on the time they actually access this on satellite. So a lot of different feeds coming in. I have been informed that Governor DeSantis is going to be speaking now at 7:30 Eastern time. How that affects our coverage plan and our stream plan, that remains to be seen. But Governor DeSantis now coming up in about 86 minutes from now. And so we will do our very best to fill up as much of that time as possible.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And stay here with you live and take you right into the governor's press conference. Let's see here. We'll take this one from YouTube Live. Terry Dean wants to know, #AJB. Thanks for answering. You're welcome. Specifically, thinking of Wiggins Pass area, a half mile from the beach. I wasn't trying to be critical, just trying to find out if my dad still has a home.
Yep, I know exactly where that's at.
But why wasn't trying to be critical? I don't understand. Was this a previous commenter? No,
I don't think so. We haven't really had anybody ask about that. That's a very, very small area just to the south, or I should say just to the north of you. So you have Vanderbilt Beach, then you have Wiggins Pass, then you have Bonita Beach. So definitely in the Wiggins Pass area, there's a little state park over there, and there's a lot of coastline. And again, there's a lot of nice houses on Vanderbilt Beach Road that goes from Vanderbilt Beach all the way to Bonita Beach Road. and it does pass through Wiggins Pass. So again, a lot of storm surge, because once you're into Naples, then you get to Vanderbilt Beach, which is what I had that confirmed, by the way, yesterday when we were showing Naples, and that 5 to 6 foot floodwater, that was Vanderbilt Beach. You keep going further to the north, only a few miles, and you're at Wiggins Pass. So I'm sure there was a lot of storm surge there. I hate to say it. You're only a half a mile away. I'm sure that water made its way at least a half a mile, at least 2 to 3 feet deep.
Oh, so this is interesting. Amy commenting at us on Facebook Live, and as I pop back
This
in
video
here on
looks
screen, we were talking about mobile home parks, near the coast. Amy says there is a mobile home park on Anna Maria Island in Bradenton.
Okay, yeah.
Just because we're unfamiliar with it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We
Right, of
acknowledge
course.
that. We acknowledge that.
I figured it existed somewhere, but as far as, the Fort Myers, Naples area, I haven't seen it. I actually have not
that's
been.
an area that like the back of your hand.
I've never been to Anna Maria Island. I heard it's really nice. I need to check it out. I need to visit.
Let's go to this. Just came in from Gina. In fact, it's going to animate right here on your screen. Hashtag HeyJB. I still haven't heard from my parents down in Englewood, Florida. Does anyone know about cell service down there?
Yeah. I got a couple text messages from friends in Englewood. I got Facebook messages from friends in Englewood. I used to go to church there, so I know a lot of people. I'm sure it's sporadic. We had the question, what cell service do you have? And it seemed like, people with certain cell service, they did have it, or carriers, I should say. They did have cell service, and others don't. So maybe give it a little time.
I did get a bunch of emails today from cellular carriers. Let me read over a couple. AT&T welcoming other carriers' customers to their Roam network. Sending this out, AT&T has established a feature for people to give yes to text, and now welcoming other carriers' customers affected by Hurricane Ian to roam on our networks. They just announced it on the ATT News Twitter handle. So they're AT&T opening up their cellular access in the event that maybe AT&T is great in one particular spot, and that is good to know. So there might be people already that don't even know that happened, right? That saw their cell service come back. That might have been AT&T opening up things.
Yeah, that could have been.
Let's see here from Verizon. An update from Verizon. Verizon announced we are providing unlimited calling, texting data to those customers in counties that include Charlotte, DeSoto, Hardee, Hillsborough, Leigh, Manatee, Pinellas, Polk, and Sarasota counties, and now including Brevard, Collier, Glades, Hendry, Highlands, Indian River, Lake, Okeechobee, Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Volusia counties as well. So a lot of counties.
Yeah, the middle of the state southward all the way.
Verizon making sure that no one is spending another penny. Verizon's expensive enough as it is, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Cellular, data in and of itself has become more and more expensive, over the years. Let's just get to the next comment or question that is coming in. Lolo wants to say, oh no, hold on. We gotta get to Felice first. YouTube. Hashtag HeyJB, thinking of my favorite vacation destination, Sanibel. Is it still there or completely destroyed? I feel so awful for all those people impacted.
Yeah.
And we had the picture earlier that showed that the one bridge, it's the singular bridge, the singular roadway, if you will, to get to Sanibel, right, was not even just destroyed, but
it was gone. It was
severed.
in the water. Yeah. So, Sanibel, when you go on the island, it's got that first big bridge, the tall one. That's not what was affected. Once you go down, then the water just pummeled that roadway for so long that it broke it apart, and it's gone. It's it's either underwater, but it's under the water. Like the water isn't even high now, and it's gone. So it busted it right apart. So you can't even get to Sanibel anymore. You need to take a boat if you're going to do that. The island itself, I mean, they were like right in the eye. So I'm sure they got at least 12-foot storm surge.
Lolo, MG9292, you are not alone, because there are a lot of people that are worried about their family members in Florida. In fact, many of the folks that are joining us might be people asking about their relatives, located in Florida, and asking from other states. Sunny D baby girl, actually, if I have that right, I think that is on Facebook Live. Yeah, we're back to Facebook now. Hashtag KJB. Thanks for all that you're doing. Please, any footage or information in North Fort Myers, the Deltura Golf and Country Club. My grandfather has been I would imagine that says has not been able to be reached.
Yeah, so you probably won't believe me, but I knew someone that from that community.
Yeah,
and we played golf. We played golf there one time, and I stunk it up. But it was a nice course. Yeah, it's right along 41 in North Fort Myers. It's right before you get into Punta Gorda, Charlotte County, but it's several miles from downtown Punta Gorda. So 41 is a really, really long stretch from North Fort Myers to Punta Gorda. In fact, the speed limit goes to 65 miles an hour for several miles. So we're talking about northern Leigh County, but much further inland. You're away from the Caloosahatchee. That's good news. You didn't have the storm surge. Were you in the eye wall? Maybe. You might have been in the eye wall, but you weren't in the 100-plus mile per hour eye wall. It would have been close. So you would have had a brief time of severe wind, and you would have had a lot of rain, of course. And, every golf course has ponds and waterways. So I'm sure there was a lot of flooding there. But yes, the wind was pretty bad in North Fort Myers. Again, that's far inland. We haven't seen, damage inland yet, right, JB? All we've seen is really along the immediate coast.
Now I do have some things that came in overnight, but it's dark and it can be difficult to see. So our crews were in some of those more inland areas, but a lot of the focus has shifted to the hardest hit areas, and the hardest hit areas are the ones, on the coast. Let's go to Tamboree, hashtag Eric, with Ian going back to a Cat 1. Are we going to still feel effects in Orlando still?
Yeah, I mean, you can put the wobble tracker back up, and you can see that the rain is all done in Orlando, right? Tropical storm force wind extend 150 plus miles an hour. So you will be experiencing continued tropical storm force wind in Orlando, not necessarily because it gained a little strength to a Cat 1 storm, but Orlando, it's really going to start to improve for you over the next few hours. We're getting, toward after sunset and the overnight hours, the wind's really going to start to die down.
Rachel, on the money here. Can we give a shout out to first responders all over the state for doing a tremendous job, working so hard, including power companies. Those areas aren't as easy to coat, and they're still working very, very hard. Trying to read this comment based on, again,
maybe those areas aren't easy to get to.
Easy to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree, Rachel. And yes, a big applause to our first responders. They're doing some work right now.
That's right. That's why you let them, they're so experienced, and so many people want to help out. I mean, I want to help out. That's pretty much my second home, right? But you got to let them assess the damage, and you got to let them, start to clean things up. And then if they want volunteers, or they say, hey, here's an open roll call, you want to come help us out? That's your cue to go.
I've ignored TikTok. I didn't mean to ignore TikTok. I haven't gone to TikTok in the last, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I see you guys on TikTok really quickly before I go to Man the Macho on TikTok. I just want to say we have seen a lot of hashtag Hey Eric and Hey JB comments that are very, very kind and considerate and thanking us for our coverage. Look, we very much appreciate that. And if I threw up those comments, that would be, we see those comments, We very much appreciate it. I'm not ignoring them and not putting them up on screen. It's just, it's not about us. It's about those people that are in the hardest hit areas. And really, the people that I'm aching for, and I really am, I'm aching for, are those people that are in northern states or states other than Florida, or even outside the damage area that are unable to get in touch with loved ones. That's where my heart really sinks, and I'm thinking about those people. TikTok, by the way, I am not a TikTok person, and I think I accidentally started this last live with a diamond feature. I don't know. What are diamonds? Do you know what TikTok diamonds are?
I have no idea.
It says I have 4 diamonds, and I don't know what that means.
That might be good.
YouTube, help me.
I mean, diamonds are a good thing, right?
Well, I turned it off on the... Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are. But I turned it off on the first feed, and then the second feed that I started, it was on by default for some weird reason, and I can't turn it off now, so I don't know what that is. But
it might be like a little gift, like bits are on Twitch or something like that.
Is that what it is?
And then so many diamonds equate to whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
it could be.
Don't know what diamonds are. So
girl's best friend.
Help me.
That's what they say.
Help this guy over here who's not on TikTok very often. Too busy with other social media platforms. But look, we are going to be more on TikTok. Yeah, we're gonna try to do we're gonna try to do our style of streaming here on TikTok and try to help people and try to really spread good information really quickly on TikTok. So there was a story that I reported on last year. I think everybody knows the one that I'm talking about. It was a year ago this month that we were really doing daily, sometimes multiple daily live streams, and there were a lot of people that were taking the live streams and like putting it on TikTok, and then some people were saying, "Oh, JB said this and JB said that," and things that I never said, and that we found that out like weeks and months later, and so that really got under my skin because people were saying that I was reporting something that I actually wasn't, and they were taking our live streams and taking pictures of our work and saying, "Oh, this guy in Tampa is saying this about this, the so-and-so manhunt for this person," and so on and so forth. So I'm grateful to be able to go directly now to TikTok. We can go live on TikTok, and we don't have to rely on people who are crazy click hungry and just want attention on social media, who are taking our stuff and using it for their own whatever purpose. So I'm grateful to be able to go directly to TikTok, and I'm grateful to be able to interact with our audience there. So speaking of TikTok, let's finally get my spiel is done. Let's get the man, the macho on TikTok. Hashtag HeyJB. Promise I'm not trying to harass you. It's okay. People post, repeated comments in our comment section all the time. Any word about flooding in Entin on the Manatee River?
See, no one has asked me yet about flooding on rivers. The Manatee River definitely will be reaching flood stage over the next couple of days. I haven't seen it yet there in Entin, but that's not to say, again, you get 20 to 24 inches of water on a saturated, ground already after rainy season. And that water's got to go somewhere. And it gradually flows into the rivers and here and there. And then the rivers will rise over time. It doesn't happen instantly. And over the next couple of days, certain rivers, like the Little Manatee River, Peace River, Horse Creek, will actually overflow their banks. So we have to keep an eye out for those rivers overflowing over the coming days, even though the rain's over. Good news is we've got JB, our forecast for the next several days? The nights are going to be like 68 to 70. The days are going to be like 83 to 85 with zero rain.
Somebody commented at me earlier, and I was trying to keep things focused on the disaster of Hurricane Ian, the disaster zone that we've been talking about. But somebody commented with our hashtags earlier and said, "Hey, JB, just want to let you know I'm in Central Florida right now, and I've got like a sweater and my socks on because it is cold." Is it cold right now?
It is chilly. I don't know the exact temperature because at the airport in Tampa, the wind just blew the sensor. I mean, the sensor's it's malfunction, and that's what happens when it gets too windy. But it was when I was doing the forecast over there about 3 o'clock. It was 76 in downtown Tampa. Okay?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Now-
that's it. That's it.
People
and
from
I was
northern-
chilly. I went outside. It's windy at 76. I'm like, oh no.
People
I never used to be that way.
in northern states, our viewers from the UK are they have officially fallen out of their chairs.
I grew up in
because-
New Hampshire where it was 30 below zero. I was waiting at the bus, and the buses couldn't start because it was 30 below zero. And I'm standing there in a coat, and my mother says, Eric, they're not having school today. It's too cold. Come on back in. And it was fine. And now it's 76 degrees and breezy, and I'm cold. Come on.
Went to school in Albany,
Ah,
New York,
yep, that's cold there
and
too.
yeah, single-digit wind chill was the norm there.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
people are laughing somewhere that we are
A lot of
talking about
places.
a cold day in Tampa Bay or cold day in Central Florida, and we're talking about temperatures in the 70s.
I
but
used to laugh too.
we're-
Never
gone-
thought it was possible.
Eric.
I'm getting old.
No, you know what? It really
Our
is.
blood's
We got-
thinning out,
we-
JB.
We got
That's what it
soft.
is.
We got soft, man.
When I moved here in February. All right. I went to Fort Myers Beach to check it out. I went swimming with it being in the 70s with a water temperature around 70 degrees. And I was all happy as a clam. Now?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. I know what you're talking about.
75 degrees? I wouldn't even be caught. Anyway. Next question.
Yeah, we'll get to the next question. Can people just please? I've been following the comments in our comment section about the diamond thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a donation thing.
That's what I
And so,
thought it
yes,
was.
You're right.
Kind of like bits on
But
Twitch.
so I'm confirmed. I don't want anything with monetary value. That is like a
Yeah.
big no-no for
Yeah.
me. So that was a setting that was accidentally left on. And if diamonds are attached to money in any way, please, I'm going to look into the camera, and you know what? I'm going to take this remote. This remote actually does control that camera, so I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to zoom in and tell people with our zoom,
Look at that.
please do not give me diamonds. No diamonds, because that's not how our business works. We of course benefit greatly from your comments and your viewership, and that's how, of course. Okay, now I'm trying to. Okay,
I never thought in a million years, well, I've only known you for about a year, that you would say, on stream with me, don't ever give me diamonds.
give me diamonds.
You don't have to worry about me. I won't.
Yeah, no, yeah, please don't give me. Yeah. Hey, let's what else can we show over here though? I wish I could spin this camera around.
Yeah, Val's back.
And show Val. Val is back.
Val is back. You know what? I think we should get Val over here because she was in. So she went to Fort Myers
Val, you gotta
right?
come tell your story.
when it looked like Hurricane Ian was going to hit here. Can you do it? And so she went to Fort Myers and she braved out the storm. While us here in Tampa, she's an expectant mother too. I bet she's not going to name her baby Ian.
Not gonna happen. Hi guys, I'm fresh faced, no makeup, but all natural.
You're good by us, Val.
Thank you.
As we
guys.
welcome in everybody. Val, hold on. I'm trying to bring in your camera shot. Hold on. Just coding this for a second. And 1, 2, 3, voila. Everybody meet Val.
Hi,
or you were on
everybody.
stream with us the other day.
I was.
Val,
yes.
allow me to explain. Val is our bilingual Tampa Oy weather anchor. And she does weather in English and Spanish. That is not easy. It isn't easy.
I can say hi in Spanish. Hola.
There you go.
Hola, Val.
That's good.
And also, too, she is doing this job. How many months pregnant?
I'm going on 8 months.
8 months. Bravo.
Yes, thank you guys.
So please tell us your story. What has it been like for you the last couple of days?
So it's been a little nerve-wracking. I just got back into town to Tampa, And just so that everybody knows, I am originally from Leigh County. I lived in Naples. I lived in Bonita and Estero. And a couple years ago, we bought a home with my husband in Fort Myers. However, when I got the opportunity to join the Max Defender 8 team, we rented a little apartment here in Tampa, and we were making Tampa our second home. When all this started happening, right, we were watching the storm with all of my colleagues, and we had the forecast was saying it was going to hit Tampa. So like a good wife and mother that I am, I sent my family off to Fort Myers. I said, you guys, you're going to, I'm not sure of the extent of the damage, but just in case if we lose power, you know how it is in hurricanes. I mean, I've been through Charlie, I've been through Irma. My husband has been through Andrew. So we know how, the aftermath. And I sent them off to Fort Myers. And then Tuesday morning, I got a phone call from my news director saying that what was going to be best for me and my family was if maybe I just sat this one out, because they were expected to, get a lot of flooding in the studio. And also, when you're pregnant, probably a lot of women can relate. Some doctors don't even allow you to take a flight after a certain, I think it's after 7 months or so, because of the pressure that you might, it might lead you going into labor a lot quicker or sooner. And so anyway, for those precautions, which by the way, I just want to mention that I'm so grateful to work for a company that puts family first and the health of their employees first. And after making a decision with my news director, I called my husband and I said, I'm gonna sit this one out. The coach has benched me. So I will be meeting up with you guys in Fort Myers. At this point, the forecast was changing a little bit. Now the storm was going to be hitting a little bit further south. We were thinking Sarasota County, Englewood or so. And Englewood is about maybe 50 miles from where I live.
We've been talking
right?
quite a bit about Englewood, yeah.
So I decided that, let's go home and let's hunker down like I've done through a lot of major storms here in Florida. And when I arrived to our home in Fort Myers, my husband was putting up the shutters and all the neighbors were helping out. There's such a warm community in Southwest Florida, and a huge shout out to all the wonderful people in Leigh County and in Collier County as well. And all of a sudden, we were watching the news and things started changing. And it got a little bit scarier. We lost power in Leigh County around 2:00. I have a sister who lives in Bonita, and she was telling me an hour earlier that she had lost power. It was almost as if it was starting from the south. So I think people in Naples lost power first, and then Bonita, and then Fort Myers, and so on. And by 2:00, we had lost power, and then the hurricane made landfall at 3. Haven't been through other hurricanes. I have to say that this one was probably the scariest and the longest. We started hearing really loud winds around 3:30, 4:00.
Yep,
And And I remember looking at a clock in our kitchen, and it was like 9:00 at night, and the storm was still going on. Like the winds were still. We had aluminum shutters in our windows, and you could hear the aluminum just banging up against the home for that long. So it was, it was scary, especially when you don't have power, you don't know what's going on. I didn't have a radio. So that note to self, a radio for next time. But obviously this was all in good intent. We left to go to Leigh County. And then, this morning when we woke up, we drove around a little bit, and to see the devastation, it's unreal. It's unreal. Leigh County is such a beautiful, it's such a beautiful, it will continue, we'll rebuild, and it's going to be gorgeous again. But it's sad, and it's sad. We didn't experience any flooding. All the damage is cosmetic, and that as long as everybody is healthy, and that's what matters the most. We know that there has been, I heard you guys talking about some fatalities earlier. And I think that is the hardest part about this whole thing. I do have to mention that I felt that before I left Tampa, people in Tampa were ready. Stores were ready, homeowners were ready. People in Tampa were ready. I felt like Southwest Florida was almost like a last minute thing, and they didn't have a chance, to evacuate, to have a plan, to go to shelters. So I'm sorry, my voice is like cracking, but I love Florida.
Yeah, and I love that area. I've lived there almost 10 years. And like I told JB earlier, when I was watching the first videos of Sanibel Causeway, it was like, man, like that's your home. It's one thing when, you're seeing somewhere get devastated, you feel really sorry for people. But then it's another thing when it's your home, and it's like, it may be people that you know, and it's places that you've gone to so many times. Oh, every Monday night I used to go here. Every whatever, I used to go to the beach. I used to do this. I used to walk the beach. I used to go on the pier. Whenever I had visitors, I was telling somebody, I would take them to Fort Myers Pier and say, hey, you want to check out something cool? Look, we're 40, 50 feet past the water, Look, the sharks here.
Yeah.
And now that pier's gone. I mean, it's you get emotional when you think about your home being devastated. It's bad enough when you think of, if it was Miami or Jackson, somewhere that isn't as close to your heart maybe. But when it's your home, I know when I go back there, which will probably be next week. I'm not going to go back there this week. But when I go back there next week and I start to see, I'm going to think in my head, all right, I'm going to go to this place. Oh, wait a minute, I can't go to this place anymore. Or I want to go to the beach. Oh, no, you can't even drive to the beach. It's really going to be emotional and very difficult to see. So I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. I think that, sometimes you watch hurricane disasters in other states or other cities, and, you feel your heart breaks. But then when it happens, it's almost like I'm in a little bit of shock, I think, just by seeing what happened to Leigh County, and then seeing like the images, I think, in Naples of the power that water has. It's almost like the way that it pushed cars together.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. I had said, hey, JB, it looks like there's like 5 or 6 cars at the end of the street that's flooded with 6 feet of water down there in Naples. And when the water receded, you could see all those cars. It was like bumper cars. They were all, rammed into each other.
Yeah. But it's a resilient community. They'll come together and they will rebuild, and it'll be beautiful again. The Sanibel Causeway, I don't know. I mean, those are things that might take a little bit longer to get up and running. But even this morning, neighbors or strangers at gas stations trying to help each other out.
Hold on one second. I don't mean to interrupt, Val, but we have a new shot coming in, and I want to show this to our audience. Take a look here. I will get a location for this feed. I've been told this is live, but we've got some folks that are.
That's 2 feet of water still.
I think that is East Coast. Yes, our team is finding out the location of this feed, but this is a new chopper feed that just came in, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
This is
I just wanted to show this to our audience that it's not just here on the Gulf Coast side of Florida, as Val is so beautifully giving a testimony here of how great of a section it is in Southwest Florida, and how the communities there are really impacted, and how it's going to take some time to rebuild. Look, we cannot discount the damage that has been done to other sections of the state. I believe this is East Coast.
So it would have to be like Daytona northward, maybe up St. Augustine area, because they were and probably still are getting some storm surge, at least in the Jacksonville area.
Yeah.
So anywhere from St. Augustine to Jacksonville. I mean, when have you seen a hurricane just create such, devastating storm surge on the West Coast, and then literally a day later, 24 hours ago, we were looking at Naples, and now 24 hours ahead, we're looking at the East Coast, and we're seeing a similar situation. I'm wondering where the Atlantic Ocean is, because it looks like you can see where the water ends right there. There's a red vehicle and a white vehicle on that main street there, right in the middle of your screen. And to the right, there's water.
So again, as a reminder, our feeds are coming and have been coming in for days now, and our audience, I got it. I just found it. This is Orlando. This is well, hold on. Let me backtrack for a second. The signal is coming out of Orlando. So this is from WESH, our friends over at WESH, NBC sister station out of Orlando. So this is somewhere from their chopper. So the signal is coming from Orlando, and I'm trying to figure out if this is Orlando. Updated location as of 6:40. Oh no, up until 6:45. So we have access to this feed for another 9 minutes, and they say that this is the Orlando area.
Wow. I know there's some lakes, and I believe the Alafaya River by UCF. So there are some waterways that do. You've got Lake Buena Vista and some other. You got Lake Alfred, but that's a little bit south. But yeah, we talked to JB yesterday, and we said, how many times did people ask about Orlando? And I said, man, they're set to get 18 inches or more. And at one point, it looked like up to 2 feet of rain. It looks like they did get that rain.
Wow.
I don't see much in the way of wind, which is good, but boy, just devastating. I mean, what did we talk about? We talked about major cities in Florida that were, between Tampa, that we got affected. Nothing like this. Orlando, Miami to Fort Lauderdale, they had tornadoes Monday night, and now into the Jacksonville area. So many big cities in Florida are being affected by this. And when that viewer asked, is this going to be the most expensive storm in history? I mean, you look at this. I mean, anywhere in the state, in the peninsula, is fair game for damage. I mean, it's crazy.
It's wild what you're looking at, folks, on your screen. Take a look here, folks. That's supposed to be a street. I was just making sure.
Oh, it is. And you see, they look like emergency vehicles that are.
Now, if you look at Orlando on a map, there's obviously like you made the joke the other day about Florida being like a saltine cracker with a lot of holes in it, right?
Right. And the holes being waterways and lakes and rivers.
That was an Eric original, Val, by the way. A saltine cracker.
The whole cracker was brought by somebody else. But when you said saltine, I thought, you know what?
Right.
JB, you're right. It is like a saltine. Because a saltine, you can't pour water over it without it going in the cracks and crevices. So it kind of made me think, well, it's kind of like Florida, right? It's solid, but then you have all these cracks and crevices like Lake Okeechobee and all these rivers and lakes across the state. And when you get 18 inches of rain or more, 20 to 24, like parts of Orlando got, unfortunately, you see stuff like this. Oh, what a shame. Yeah. I mean, those cars, this is almost like what we saw in Naples. Look at that.
Yeah.
That car's almost underwater.
I was told there was flooding in Orlando. I didn't think
4 foot. That's 4 foot. I'm telling you, of standing water.
Mm-hmm.
Now you were back to my saltine cracker reference, or callback rather.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about how there's a lot of waterways in Central Florida, a lot of ponds. Okay, even lakes. As far as the rain really coming down there still.
Yeah.
Is this a result of rainfall, or is this a result of the ground being so saturated and rainfall, or is this the result of a river or swelling? Or,
No. This isn't a river. You're going to see flooding along the banks of the river first, and then it's a gradual, right? Because when say you have a river that goes east-west, so your banks on the north and the south, when it overflows, it will gradually move to the north. Is that a house underwater completely?
It certainly appears to be.
Look at that. No, this obviously does have to do with the ground being so saturated, but This has to do with 2 feet of rain in a small period of time. And what happens is that rain does run off. Look, this is nuts. We didn't see this in Fort Myers.
Pretty wild.
Even in the storm surge where it was 12 feet.
It was covering homes, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, that's crazy.
Absolutely.
Cars
wild.
are completely covered. That is, how many feet is that? 10, 12?
And that's why I'm saying, is there any chance that this was located near a waterway of some kind and that contributed to, you don't think so?
I don't know. I don't think there's a waterway big enough that would cause flooding to that capacity. You know, because again, a waterway is going to flood initially only where that waterway is, only where that river is. It takes a long time for a waterway to gain 10 foot on a house. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's being spread out in all directions. These could be low-lying areas that picked up 2 feet of rain. And all around it, if it's low-lying, it's being drained into that low-lying area, or unfortunately, the low-lying area is where those houses are, and it runs downhill, right? And of course, because the ground's saturated, it's got nowhere to go. That's another story. But if you didn't get 24 inches of rain, you wouldn't be seeing this.
I'm looking up the West Chopper tail number, and I want to look up where this
Could you find
chopper
it?
is located.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
I would love to know that.
If it's still raining, I mean, most of that rain is out of Orlando right now.
Got it.
Yeah, but how many hours of rain did they get?
Got it.
Oh, no, they got a lot of rain. But
This
we
is
just saw rain on the
Orlando.
camera.
Yeah.
This is,
And
they're hovering over the same area.
Yeah, when I look at the wobble tracker, I'm not really seeing much rain. Unless it's like what is it, Winter Garden, Altamont Spring, you know, like
It's
north
east,
and east.
I have it on a map. It is East Orlando, Union Park, right near UCF, the University of Central Florida.
Oviedo. There's 3 great pinball places there. I go there all the time.
I love Eric.
So you go down Alafaya Trail around University, stop at Del Taco because it's really, really good. There's not many around. But yes, this is like pretty much due northeast of Orlando, probably close to 417, the toll road that connects right around Disney up toward Oviedo and then Sanford
a
at the
master of
airport
pinball.
further north.
I'm just looking at the map and
Is there a body of water? Is there?
There's the Alafaya River.
That's it.
Yep.
I'm looking at it.
So that again goes around the UCF area. So I wonder what streets they are on in that area, because UCF pretty much is in Oviedo. It's very, very close, which is northeast of downtown Orlando, east northeast. Well, either way, that's why you're seeing some rain, because you see a couple drops on there, and they are still getting it. That's a very residential area. So it looks like the main road. See how the main road is so much higher?
Yeah.
You know what? I wonder if that's the river right there that goes from left to right on your screen. And
I do hope these people
and that
evacuate.
river has overflowed its banks.
I would find it very evacuations. I would imagine to answer your question,
Yeah.
Val. This is just me thinking were likely more common when the mandatory and voluntary evacuations were going out on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably more of this air of invincibility or invulnerability in Central Florida, in Orlando. And I would imagine that, this is just a guess, that evacuations were not as common here as they were in Southwest Florida
gonna
when
check
the storm
here.
was a Cat 4.
I'm going to go on the National Weather Service site
know.
and see exactly see if they show the flood warning.
Because by the time that it hit Orlando, it was a Category 1, right? By the time that it went
No,
over Orlando?
no,
No?
it was down a tropical storm.
Oh, it
Well,
was.
no, I mean when those initial impacts came in, Eric, wasn't it still like a Cat 1? It was in the process of going from a Cat 1 to a tropical
the initial
storm.
impacts.
Yeah.
Yes,
and then it started slowing.
but it was when it moved close to Orlando, the closest it was to Orlando, it was a tropical storm.
Yeah.
Shingle
Devastated,
Creek.
these images.
I'm looking on the Weather Service site. Little Wakiva River near. Remember I said
Guys, we're
Altamont
coming back to your
Springs.
questions and comments. We are, I promise.
So near Altamont Springs, Wakiva River, 31 feet. It is 29 foot is flood stage, so it's almost 2 foot over flood stage in Altamont Springs. Which again, Altamont Springs is a very nice neighborhood off of I-4, a little bit to the north, right around exit 91-ish on I-4. But again, Altamont Springs, you've got that river there, and it says major flooding in the Altamont Springs neighborhood. Yep, that definitely could be it.
Wow.
Lake Harney in Seminole County, that's up there as well, St. Johns River. So you've got rivers and lakes north and northeast of Orlando, anywhere from Winter Garden to Altamont Springs to Oviedo, St. Johns River near Sanford. You keep going further northward, Sanford and Seminole County. There are several flood warnings.
You guys take over for a second. I have to take a step away and talk to our assignment desk really quickly. It's all on you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. So again, I'm seeing multiple river flood warnings in even in DeLand, which is up I-4 about 35 miles away from
Eric, look at this airboat. There's an airboat
Daytona.
floating.
So that airboat is rescuing people. That looks, again, like the Alafaya River right around the UCF area. So Orlando that picked up 18 to 24 inches of rain, you're seeing rescue efforts right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the only way you can get to them, right? By boat.
Yeah.
Airboats is really the best way to go because they can go, some of them could go right over land. Oh, look at that. See? They're bringing them back to the
to
roadways.
the roads. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
They're rescuing people. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and
We're seeing
again,
this. Wow.
I'm looking at my phone because there's so many flood warnings.
Yeah.
St. Johns River is a big one.
Yeah.
Where's this? Oh no, that's Palm. That's further south. So yeah, so that's what's going on. The St. Johns River, Alafaya, Shingle Creek, and Little Wakiva River in Altamont Springs. That could be the river that's flooding as well. So you've got, again, you picture this saltine cracker with the holes and everything in it. You've got so many lakes and rivers, and you get 24 inches of rain when those rivers are already pretty high. And then this is what you get. But we just saw, JB, an airboat rescue.
I did see it for a moment there, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really cool that the first responders are there helping people out. But this is a widespread flooding. I mean, it's, I don't know if it's a half a mile to a mile in diameter, with all that flooding there. And again, it looks like a really nice neighborhood, maybe in the Altamont Springs area toward UCF. Wow. Crazy.
These aerials to me are just as astonishing as the ones in Southwest Florida.
Right.
Because the thing about Southwest Florida is that you could almost picture what was going to happen when we were talking at great length about a Category 4 storm, steamrolling the coast.
Right, exactly.
But this, I don't think that we expected this level of flooding in Orlando. We knew rainfall totals were going to be significant.
We talked about up to 2 feet of rain.
I mean, only being able to see the rooftops on houses, only being able to see the portions of the tops of cars that are fully submerged. I mean, that to me is pretty wild.
And it's like, when you live in an area for a long time, like Fort Myers or, coming up to Tampa, what roadways flood. Where I used to work in Fort Myers, you take a left out of the parking lot and that roadway floods. And Val knows because we worked at the same place.
We did.
Right? Which actually got flooded out in this storm, and people had to be evacuated because the first floor flooded in that TV station. Yeah. So typically, and boy, up here in Tampa, when I take a left to go on Kennedy and I go a little ways and it rained an inch or two on a rainy season day, I know Kennedy's going to be flooded. So you kind of know which roads are prone to flooding. I'm not as familiar. I know the area of Orlando and north and east of it, but I'm not as familiar with what rivers flood, what roads typically flood, but when you get 24 inches of rain, and that's why I always say, if your property floods in a rainy season day with 5 inches, you're going to be getting that flooding, but to an exponential extent, because you're going to be getting 18 to 24 inches of rain, and you're seeing it right here in Orlando.
So I am following Wesh's chopper on Flight Radar. Flight Radar, shout out. What would we do without Flight Radar and Flight Aware? And my YouTubers know out there what I'm talking about. Now, it looks like they were heading south, but now it looks like they might be heading back to Orlando Executive Airport. We'll kind of follow them in here because they might hit up another area or two on their way back in, but they've been in the air for some time. It wouldn't be surprising to me if it was time to land and of course fuel up. But here, this is what I'm talking about. On the way back in, they might spotlight a couple of other areas. Maybe not as hard hit, but the roadways. Look, Orlando's roadways not usually this clear.
Right.
That's because a lot of people off the roadways. People know that on I-4 and just really Orlando in general is just known for pretty bad traffic.
Yeah, and I mean there are a lot of toll roads. You got 528, 417, 4 something else, the East-West Expressway. You got so many toll roads, and I've noticed that the toll roads aren't nearly as clogged up as like I-4 or those type of interstates.
Maybe they have curfew set in that area, knowing that it's prone to so much flooding. Or, I mean, I wonder if it's also an infrastructure, a drainage issue.
Well,
not only the ground saturated.
That's
but
it right there. The ground saturated,
Look
so
at,
it can't drain.
look at the rain hitting the lens.
Yeah, and I look behind me at the wobble tracker, and there's really not much rain left. Now, Orlando Airport is, kind of to the northeast of downtown Orlando. It's kind of away from I-4 to the east. So the further east and north you go from Orlando, the better chance of rain you're going to get. But
let's not forget, Hurricane Ian, the eye is over the Atlantic right now.
Right,
So,
right. It's light rain for now, thank God.
It probably
without
looks
flooding.
worse than what it really is because obviously it's flying into precipitation,
Right.
Rather than having that precipitation rain down on it. But still, significant to show that it's still a wet, soggy evening in Orlando. They have turned north, so they are not going back to the airport, or at least not landing where they, took off from. So we'll stay with Wesh's chopper here. Let's reset. Hello there to you. Welcome to the WFLA Now Stream Center. Really humbled and honored to be here with meteorologist Eric Stone, weather anchor Val Simpson, who is back here with us on the program. Val, it's great to have you. And I would just like to ask our comment section as we go back to our commenters here in a moment. That was really very special what you shared with us, and really, I think Eric and I could agree that we are just so glad that you and your family are okay.
Oh yeah,
and we couldn't
guys.
not ask about how your little one is doing.
yeah.
8 months in now.
Yeah, I mean, good. The baby's fine. We're good. We're hanging in there. It got real hot at one point when we lost power, but like you said, the most important thing is that we're healthy. Everybody's fine. My family's good, and I'm just grateful and I feel blessed for just being able to be here sitting with you guys today.
Likewise, I feel blessed as well. I'm sure.
yes, definitely. We're so glad to have you back.
Throw
Thank
a
you,
heart
guys.
in the comment section. If,
Not a diamond, but a heart.
Yeah. All right. Can we talk real quick? Hey, Chad, I see your comment. We're coming your way, Chad. And also, there's a commenter, Clorox Bleach in the queue and
Nice.
Richie Beats in the queue.
All right.
Yeah, welcome. YouTube Live, Val. Welcome to the jungle.
I love
We've got
it.
fun and weird usernames. But we are going to continue to report, of course, on Hurricane Ian here. But on the diamonds, really quickly, of course, when you tell the internet not to do something, what does the internet do? It.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So hey, moderators, Yaya, Michelle, help me. Help your guy here.
Do you know TikTok, Val?
No, I'm so bad
can
at
I-
it.
See, we're too old to know TikTok.
Can I take those diamonds and donate it to the American Red Cross or something?
Oh yeah,
what
you
a
might,
great
yeah,
idea.
You might be able to do that.
Can we do that? How do I do
That's
that?
genius.
Yo,
I'm not
my-
sure, but we have that link to our. And I wonder how that's doing because we checked in on it yesterday, but but not today.
I don't know how much 100 and I went from 5 and 6 diamonds to 121 diamonds on TikTok. But I don't know what that
You're
means.
rich.
You only have 10 fingers. You can't wear that. Man. I mean, Tom Brady's got 7 rings.
If that's for don't do this. Please stop giving me diamonds. I'm going to find a way to get rid of them and give them to somebody who could use them. Maybe like somebody here in the center of your screen as we're monitoring again the chopper feed from Orlando. We'll give you an updated location on Wesh's chopper here in just a second. But yes, please stop with the donated diamonds. I don't know if they're worth a penny each or $1 each.
Yeah, how much is a diamond worth?
What is a diamond worth?
I think it's $1.
No, it can't be.
Yeah. I think
No,
it's $1.
no.
Wow.
I don't want
It's a diamond. We'll donate it. We'll donate it to our fundraiser that we have set up. For the American Red Cross?
That's a
I
great
hope
idea.
I can do that.
You'll
I
be
mean,
able to.
Okay.
You have
I
to
will
be able
show
to.
everybody step by step of me donating it and putting it in. Don't give me any more, but the ones that I do have,
don't give him any more.
do not
Here
give
they
me
all
any
come.
more.
I'm scared every time you say
It's all going to the Red Cross, but don't give me any more.
Now that you said that, they're gonna say, "Oh, we want to donate. We don't know how."
No, then donate to the Red Cross. Don't give it to me. Give it to the Red Cross.
By the way, I just got I got a text from a friend of mine that lives in Naples Park, which is very close to Vanderbilt Beach. It's very close to that area, and they said there's no flooding and the house is fine. So thank God for that.
The comment section lit up with hearts, by the way, for you, Val. Lit up
Oh,
with
you
hearts
guys,
for you. So,
thank you so much.
Everyone sending you a lot of love, and it's just awesome. Yeah, I see you. You have to cash out and then donate it. Okay. Yes, I will. I'm going to cash out. I wish I hadn't got any diamonds to begin with. But,
Now,
okay, let's look here. What do we got?
That looks like floodwater where the floodwater either, do they push cars against each other?
Yeah.
I mean, it almost looks like it. I don't think they're parked there, but it looks like that airboat was possibly rescuing people. Although the water doesn't look, thank God, it doesn't look nearly as high there. But you never know.
They
It
did. So
there's,
it could be
military
rising.
trucks.
Wesh's chopper made a big circle and then returned to the same area that we were
Okay.
talking about. Location points on Google Maps that people might recognize: Summer Woods, River Oaks Landing. These are subdivisions. University Acres, Sherwood Forest, Hickory Cove, Cambridge Circle. This is southwest of the UCF campus, so not too far away from one of the biggest universities in the entire state. In fact, look, it's very likely that there are college students down there as well impacted by this. So this is live on your screen from Northeast Orlando.
that sounds like it's close to either Constitution or University Boulevard down in that area, southwest of UCF.
So what are these? What are these vehicles that we're seeing pull in here?
I believe they're military, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're there to
Rescue?
rescue people.
Yeah.
Of course, they are clearly here to help. I just
Look at the
didn't know.
car that's diagonal,
Yeah.
catty corner there. Yeah, so the floodwater must have actually, been so high that these cars were floating into each other. Yeah, because look at the cars parked in the middle. The water's up past their trunk.
Yeah. Just goes to show you the power of that water has. It's amazing.
And
the
of course,
strength.
yeah, the difference, the reason we don't see Fort Myers Beach conditions here is because they didn't get the wind. So you don't see, the devastation of the roofs or the houses.
carports, 'cause
I
of
mean,
not-
it looks like the lights are still on. They
Yeah.
are. Look at that,
Look at-
JB.
yeah.
And the cars there, look at that. Some are completely underwater.
That person's on the roof.
Are they?
Oh my God! There's a yes.
Oh, there is somebody on the roof.
They climbed out of their window and got onto the roof
My God.
to
look
show
at that.
people what is going on.
Oh, I think
on
the
their
chopper's
phone.
gonna let someone know.
Did they show people or are they trying to get rescued? That's what I'm scared of.
Probably, maybe both. I mean, look, if it's me and I'm stranded in that building, I'm documenting what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking pictures and video. And yeah, I'm saying, come get me, help. But quite frankly, at the same time, I'm probably thinking, look, hopefully there aren't people that are, look, first responders are going to have to deal with the emergencies and then get to the stranded individuals, because clearly this is a situation that is unfolding right now on the streets of Orlando. So look, if there are people that are in desperate need of rescue, someone who has suffered an injury, and I'm talking about maybe falling up or down the stairs trying to get away from floodwaters, or or trying to move from one section of the building to another and stepping on something. There's all of these different things that can happen when you're trying to deal with rising floodwaters and injuries that can occur. So the first thing that people or first responders have to do is deal with the emergencies that are going on, people that need, immediate medical attention. Look, there could be people with pre-existing conditions that need to get out of there as well. So there's a lot at play here, a lot of factors going on. So this is going to be, and it's going to have to be, a staggered response as far as dealing with the emergencies first and then getting to those stranded individuals. But we're looking at this live on our screen, boats being used to navigate apartment complexes. I mean, this is wild to see from Northeast Orlando.
It looks like these boats have been out there a while too, because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
So this has to be going on for several hours to get that much water, like dousing the car. I mean, they're above some of the cars. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just so impactful. It's heartbreaking.
This is this is just an unexpected consequence and result of the fury that Hurricane Ian brought down upon Central Florida. I mean, this is absolutely
even as a
wild.
tropical storm.
Even as a tropical storm.
Yeah, it didn't even have to be a hurricane to create this much damage. You don't think, JB, remember we were talking about how slow this thing could have went? We were looking at 2 to 3 miles per hour. If it was that speed, like the models had predicted, this wouldn't have even been in Orlando yet.
Yep.
Which means that much more rain would have fell in Orlando.
Oh boy.
And that much more rain would have fell in Tampa and in Fort Myers and in Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda.
I don't want to go away from the footage for too long, but really quickly, hashtag HJB. Those trucks will transport 20 people at a time. One of our great moderators in our comment section commenting here. So that as well, very interesting.
Thanks for that.
To note.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
So those look like what? Big apartment buildings, right?
Yeah.
3-story or so, 3 or 4-story apartment buildings. And the water is easily, halfway up the first story.
I think the chopper is looking for that person that was up on the roof. Oh, there's another rescue.
News choppers have been known to help when called upon, if needed, by local law enforcement, by the way. And
Really?
look, local law enforcement have their own helicopters, but in the event that let's say a sheriff's office helicopter needs to be elsewhere as a result of, a breaking situation or an unfolding situation, there have been situations in the past, and I know from, I've worked with a bunch of chopper pilots in the industry, and they will say that every now and again, they will radio for assistance if there's a news chopper in the air and just help as far as having eyes above a particular area. So I don't know if that's happening here.
Yeah.
But I will report if there's any other chopper activity.
Oh, there's people.
And I don't see any other choppers over this area for what it's worth.
And the power's still on.
Yeah.
Look at
Power's
that.
on. Yeah.
Because they didn't have the strong wind that places
To knock down power lines.
right, exactly. Or knocked out trees into power lines. Wow.
This is unbelievable.
Well, that car's alarm's going off in the water. See it?
Yep.
Wow.
Black
And
vehicle.
it's such a shame because, once a car is submerged like that, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the good news is that they still have sunlight. That's going to help a lot. Not for long,
No,
though.
not for long. It's
But-
already after
This is
7.
This is fascinating here. This is first responders getting to the scene and discussing an action plan and a strategy for getting people out. I mean, that's exactly what you're watching here on your screen. They're probably, I would imagine that they're looking at a map of the complex, determining the hardest hit areas and determining whether or not there's 911 calls that have come in. And this is all very likely situations that are unfolding here as far as getting people out of this apartment complex, as we see some of the people who don't appear to be in harm's way in any which way or any shape or form.
Yeah, there's high spots and low spots of parking lots, whether it be in a business or in an apartment complex. And you can see that everybody parked around that circle there. That must be one of the higher spots, just by a little bit, but that's all it takes. But the thing is, when they zoom out to the main road, there's no flooding at all. Like the main roads are clear.
That's
and here
weird.
you've got like 6 foot,
Yeah.
over cars.
Yeah.
So what's happening is, the rain is falling everywhere. And look, there's a fountain there. So that's a waterway. So there must be a big little pond, there must be a big pond right there.
Yeah.
And that pond overflowed.
Yeah.
And maybe in the apartment, within the apartment complex, there's several. You know how there's several ponds, around a
Yeah.
walkway in an apartment.
Yeah.
And it rained so much that the higher ground, with those roads on the outer, the main roads that you don't see, everything drained down.
What do you think they're carrying there, pets?
It's a pet. Look at that.
Oh, my
That might be a cat there,
goodness.
JB. Or a dog. Oh, it is.
Oh.
It is.
They're rescuing pets.
That water's like chest high. That's a good 4 feet of water.
Oh, people are coming out.
Yep. Here we go.
It's surprising because these look like relatively newer buildings
Well,
for it to be built on an area that is lower in comparison to the street level, how you were saying.
I don't know. I mean, there's fountains there. There's bodies of water
Yeah.
where if it gets enough rain, the body of water is going to overflow. Where I lived in Fort Myers, in the wintertime, it was a good 5 foot, 4 foot from the top, each one of those ponds. But in the summertime, I've seen it within a foot from overflowing. And I guarantee that if 24 inches of rain fell, those ponds, like right now, those ponds would overflow and it would spill into the parking lots and into, those apartments.
Watching these live rescues just gives me goosebumps, doesn't it? I mean, just seeing.
Well, it's good to see, it's good to see the people getting rescued.
It is, yeah.
Where in Fort Myers, the storm was so bad, nobody could.
Yeah.
They told you to evacuate because they couldn't rescue you if if you were in harm's way.
Yeah.
At least here, they're able to get these people out of here. There's a lot of people in those apartments. Mm-hmm. And even those cars that were parked around that circle, they can't get out. I mean, it's right there. It's like a 15-second, 10-second drive to the main road where you'd be fine.
Look at that blue car right up against one of the buildings.
Yeah.
The
water
that's
pushing
chilling.
it right up against the
Yeah.
buildings and that white one next to it.
Yeah.
Let's reset for our audience. JB, Biunno, Val Simpson, and meteorologist Eric Stone here with you live, folks, on WFLA Now. And we have Wesh's chopper over northeast Orlando, not too far away from the University of Central Florida, UCF, where they have experienced heavy flooding, not from Hurricane Ian, but at the time that this was really impactful for this area, we're talking about Tropical Storm Ian, as Eric has been noting here. And you can see this apartment complex flooded, and now there are rescues being conducted, and they're currently happening right before our very eyes. We'll, again, put our boxes away so that we can show you exactly what is happening here. A lot of vehicles probably completely destroyed by these floodwaters, and we have seen people emerge onto rooftops. We have seen people carrying their belongings into rescue vehicles, and there you can see the emergency response. I believe that the chopper is now moving to a different location, and it might be the necessity of fuel that is causing them to trek in the southwest direction. So as we engaged a new digital audience, it looks like the chopper is now leaving the area, and it looks like, yes, they are heading back in the direction of Orlando Executive Airport. But this was just some pretty incredible visuals here to show you that even hours after landfall, well after landfall, Ian was still dumping torrential rain on top of this portion of the state, Eric.
Yeah, of course. I mean, 18 to 24 inches of rain, moving at 8 miles per hour. I mean, again, the models were showing this as a 2 to 3 mile per hour storm movement. I mean, that means that by tomorrow morning, the storm would have been over Orlando. Can you imagine that, JB?
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, it still would have been dumping rain in Orlando. And probably, and even now, it still would have been dumping rain over us in Tampa. Fort Myers might have started to see some relief from the rain. But I mean, thankfully, this storm kept moving at 8 miles an hour, or it would have been a lot worse than the catastrophic damage you're seeing all day long today and in the coming days.
Yeah.
We'll follow this shot just to ensure that they do, in fact, go back to the airport.
And as we follow this shot, I am going to step away. So I wanted to thank you, JB, for giving me the space to tell my story. Thank you, Eric, too.
Anytime.
I'm glad to be back here with all of you. So I need to get back to work on some graphics for tonight for our Noticias Tampa Hoy.
You can't leave yet. Yeah, you got to talk about how people can follow you. And again, let's remind our audience here that what Val does is very unique and very, very extraordinarily appreciated because she's able to do weather in both English and Spanish. And you're available in two ways. You're available both on television and with us here on the World Wide Web. So please explain to people how they can watch you on both.
I love it. Well, every Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. on channel Great 38, you can find not only me, but the whole entire Noticias Tampa Hoy team with the latest information, local news, statewide, and also international for all of you bilingual folks that are looking to know what's going on locally and also in your original in your countries or in your parents' countries as well. We'll have that for you, as well as the weather. So I have to go work on that right now because the clock is ticking.
So everybody, Val Simpson, and your social media handles are...
yes, it's at WFLA Val. WFLA VAL. Thank you, guys.
Hashtag Hey Val. Thanks so much.
That's so cute.
All right, everybody. Val Simpson. Val,
Adios.
have a good
Adios.
Have a good time doing weather in Spanish tonight.
Bye, guys.
Everybody, back here with you live in the Stream Center. Great to have Val make an appearance. And yes, this is the signal. The news choppers, of course, will put this shot up usually to let us know here in studio that they are done and they are returning back to their, of course, respective airport or their respective place of origin. Let's go back to the wobble tracker. And we did have a comment that came in a short time ago, and I will bring it up. It's from, Richie Beats. Hashtag KJB. Do you think that Hurricane Ian will wobble one more time?
No, I think Ian will wobble 5 more times because Ian is still wobbling. The track continues to go further south and east, and it's hard to see the center here. But, I would guess, based on the rain to the south, that Ian is already moving away from that blue line to the east. I really do believe that makes Ian landfall to the east of Charleston, but still they're going to be getting storm surge. But see, Charleston's going to have it. It's going to be interesting because right now they're getting wind blown into the coast, right? In South Carolina. Wind is being blown from the south and then eventually from the east. So, but once the storm goes to the east of Charleston, then all of a sudden it blows that water that was on land, it blows it back out. So it's a very interesting scenario there. But as far as the Outer Banks and parts of North Carolina, they could see some of that storm surge. I don't know if it'll be really nasty in the Outer Banks area, as Ian will still be pretty far away, but they'll get something.
Everybody, as a reminder, updated there on the bottom of your screen, Governor Ron DeSantis giving an update at 7:30. That was a press conference that was delayed 90 minutes. So we don't anticipate too many more delays in addition to that. Usually if there's a delay for a press conference, it's for a good reason. It's because usually they're receiving information or it's because they're being, the officials could be transported to a different location. We have been told that President Biden, as you would expect, is going to be coming down to the disaster area It'll be, of course, interesting, of course, to see if Governor DeSantis is there when President Biden comes to visit places that were really hit hard, of course, in Southwest Florida. But all of that is going to be happening as we increase awareness for what has happened, not just in Southwest Florida, but also in Northeast Orlando, how really just central, basically from all the way from Southwest Florida to Northeast Florida, areas of the state that got battered by Hurricane Ian, and that there are people out there that need your help. So you can go to WFLA.com. We have a link to make a donation, and we will likely be ramping up our donation efforts in the days ahead and try to get some goodwill and some good energy going here and trying to make a difference. But let's continue to show you a feed. If you missed Southwest Florida earlier, this was Southwest Florida. Yeah, military-style choppers. That appears to be a military
definitely
chopper, obviously, on the ground, right near the beach, right on the coast here in Southwest Florida. This is some of the hardest hit areas. And while it's not flooded like what we just saw in Orlando, the storm surge came in.
It was flooded.
It flooded out this area and now has receded back into the Gulf and, of course, into the ground beneath it. And so this is, the impacts that we're talking about here from Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, and again, the only difference here is that, I mean, you're not seeing the flood water, but the wind of 125 plus miles per hour battering these buildings. And, I mean, there's just so much damage in regards to wind, not just the water damage, but the wind damage.
Let's remind our audience we're going to really start focusing in on questions and comments. And let's start with some of the ones that people have been very, very patient in our queue as we were kind of thrown a curveball on the stream with that's what we do. We hit curveballs here as far as when unexpected feeds come into the stream center. We're of course equipped to take feeds at any moment. So apologies to our audience who've been very, very patient as far as getting their questions answered. Sometimes when we have a feed that we just have to go to show our audience what is happening on the ground and what the reality of a news story is, we just have to do it. So now we can, of course, get back to your hashtag comment, use a hashtag, ask a question, and we start with, Clorox bleach. That's the name. Hashtag HeyJB, I'm at NAS Jax. Can you tell me how flooding will be at St. John's, Eric?
Is that the St. John's River?
I will look it up and make sure that we get that figured out.
Because I know that's one of the main culprits, in the Orlando area or north and northeast of Orlando. But as far as Jacksonville itself, again, you are dealing with some storm surge. Finally, the storm is...
Yeah, the St. John's River is the main river that goes north and south up to NAS Jax.
Yeah, so that river could... it's still raining up there in Jacksonville, so that river could overflow its banks in the next day or so. But you're getting a lot of wind, too. So, you're getting water pushed from, the Atlantic Ocean into, parts of Jacksonville. Again, the storm surge isn't nearly what we saw on the Gulf Coast, but it could create some flooding along the coast, as well as, that freshwater rain that could be affecting those rivers in the days to come.
Chad Essenberg was very patient getting us this question on screen. Hashtag HeyJB, do you have a map showing rain gauges of all affected? Now, rainfall, so basically, do we have something that shows rainfall totals around the area?
We do, but right now we are on the air on News Channel 8, and Jeff Berardelli is using the computer that I would need to show that.
Okay.
When he's off the air in about 10 minutes, if we're not covering DeSantis, I'll pull those up because those rain totals are very, very interesting. They're color coded, so you can see how much, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 10, and so forth. So we will get that up for you in about 10 minutes or so. Once Jeff comes up here and I know nobody's using that weather computer, I'll go ahead and do that.
Let's so here's the deal, folks. We have to end the stream soon on Facebook Live. Facebook Live. here's how this is going to work, okay? So Facebook Live, Facebook streaming works different. We're going to have to end the Facebook stream to launch a new one with Governor DeSantis giving an address to the state of Florida tonight regarding, of course, the impacts of Hurricane Ian and how the state picks itself back up. Excuse me. It's been a long week and a half. So we're going to end the stream. But before we do, I want to get to these final comments on Facebook Live and address those commenters who have been extraordinarily patient. We'll go here to Jacob Jenkins. What's further predictions for the storm? I'm in Virginia, says Jacob.
Yeah, so Virginia, even north of North Carolina, you're not going to see much in the way of effects. In fact, as this merges with a cold front, eventually you'll get rain from the front, and this will add to it a little bit, but more so North Carolina southward. So you're not really going to feel much in the way of effects from this one in Virginia.
Let's go to this comment from, you know this area well. Diane says, #Hey Eric, any update on Shell Point Village Retirement Community in Fort Myers, please?
So
Thanks.
Shell Point is kind of along that road near the outlet malls that lead to the toll plaza that goes onto Sanibel Causeway. Shell Point, the water's still pretty far away from Shell Point. You may have gotten some sort of storm surge, but it's not the several feet. You definitely got a lot of wind, though, unfortunately. I hate to say it. It's a really popular area. So there's probably a lot of wind damage in that area. There could be some flooding, some from a storm surge, but more so from all the rain that fell in that area.
Let's go to Terry. Has Bonita Springs been hit hard? Yeah, they got hit pretty hard.
Yeah. So, I don't have any friends in Bonita Springs. I have friends just to the south and, of course, just to the north. So I can kind of interpolate the damage in between. So to the south, wind speed 60 to 65 miles per hour. To the north, close to hurricane force wind. So Bonita Springs, definitely seeing hurricane force wind gusts, if not sustained wind, for a short period of time. Not quite in the eye wall. So that's good news. You didn't get the 90 to 140 mile per hour wind. So that is good. But you still picked up a lot of rain. And again, Bonita Springs extends from the coast all the way east of I-75. So if you live east of 41, or even, I would say, along Bonita Beach Road, east of Vanderbilt Beach Road, you're not going to have any storm surge at all. That's good. But again, you could have some wind damage if you're not in the area now and you're wondering. And I believe a good 8 to 10 inches of rain fell in the Bonita Springs area, more like 8 inches.
Let's we're going to end the stream here, everybody, on Facebook Live. Look out for the next Facebook Live stream, folks. Or what I'll do really quickly for the folks on YouTube Live, the folks on Facebook Live, I'm going to take the YouTube link. And if you want to come with us over on YouTube and not miss any more of the discussion, I just posted that in the WFLA Facebook Live comment section. Gavin Davidson is asking about the death toll. We'll of course really quickly get that in there, as I have it: 1 in Volusia County, 6 in Charlotte, 2 in Sarasota County, and 5 maybe in Leigh County. But I'm awaiting on a note from our producers. I might have missed an update on that. So that's it's 9, potentially 14. And of course, we'll pass that along to you as soon as I get the update. So folks on Facebook Live, we'll see you on YouTube or in the next Facebook stream. And back here with you live on YouTube. Yes, we're back to the refeed from NBC. Yep. And we do now have, let me show this to you. Let's load this up on our screen. This is important. Might be loud though. Nope, volume's dead. Okay, so FDEM, Florida Division of Emergency Management. This is where we're going to see Governor Ron DeSantis coming up here in just a moment. These addresses are extremely important, and we'll bring them to you live here across all platforms, including on Facebook Live. So, Eric, as we await Governor DeSantis, would you be so kind as to provide us with a brief update on what is happening right now with Hurricane Ian?
Well, again, right now, I mean, you saw the footage in Orlando. You see a lot of flooding. And you see some of those outer showers kind of lingering in the Orlando area, east and northeast Orlando. For the most part, the rain is about over. So let's talk about, let's go to the track right there. All right. So it is a Category 1 hurricane. It's moving north-northeast 10. So again, you know, the speed has been very consistent on this thing, all the way from the southeast Gulf and into, you know, the Gulf Coast through the state. Now it's over open water. And you see by Friday afternoon, I mean, it looks like right at 2 o'clock, popular time. Friday at 2 o'clock in the Charleston area. Now you see where Wilmington is. That is, you know, extreme southern, you know, area of North Carolina, south of the Outer Banks. It's going to pass well to the south of you, west of you. But you're still going to get some storm surge in southern North Carolina and northern South Carolina. Say that 5 times in a row. Then it's going to move northward into the eastern portions of South Carolina. And now that the track has shifted since 5 o'clock, it's going to move well to the east of Charlotte. But being on the northwest side of the storm, places like Charleston, Columbia, maybe. Columbia is almost right in the center of the state. And then, you know, Charlotte, North Carolina, will be in that northwestern area. So you'll get a lot of rain there, a good 3 to 5 inches. And I say a lot of rain because you're not going to get the rain that we got in Florida. But, you know, for you, with a tropical system way inland in Charlotte, in Charlotte, North Carolina, you know, 3 to 6 inches, definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Charleston, though, could get 8 inches or more, you know, depending on where the system tracks.
Let's welcome you back into the Stream Center. Say hello to you folks. We are awaiting. Oh, no, it is now back up. So let's show it to you. He hasn't started speaking yet, but we'll show you the feed here of where Governor Ron DeSantis will be speaking here in just a moment. And, of course, our broadcast team on WFLA is getting ready to take that on the air, as well as I am now seeing. Jeff is about to wrap up here momentarily, which means that we can show the rain gauge map soon.
And he has. It looks like he has wrapped up. So let me get on his computer, and I'm going to show you the rainfall totals of what we have so far.
And we'll go full screen in the meantime. I'll let you prepare that graphic really quickly, and then when you want to call for it, when it's ready, Eric, I'll bring it up on screen as we stay here live from Tallahassee, the Emergency Operations Center for the state. Governor DeSantis expected to be giving an address here momentarily.
I'm sorry, source 3.
Oh, yep. Hold on a second. Let me load that up.
Yep. There it is. So you see the darker grays down in Sarasota County picking up 20 inches or more. Anywhere you see the whites, you're looking at 15 to 20 inches of rain. Where it starts to go gray, you're starting to see 17, 18, 19 inches. So the greatest swath of rain, as you can see, southern Sarasota County around the Englewood area, the Northport area as well, and then toward Arcadia, toward Wauchula, and then you don't see as much in Polk County, but Orlando area, you're seeing, you know, a good foot plus of rain. And then to the northeast, which is where you're seeing that flooding just a little while ago, you see the white shading again. Now you're looking at 15 to 17 inches of rain. Then you go up toward Daytona Beach and you see 17, 18 inches of rain. So that's how much has fallen. And again, the vast majority of this has been from Ian over the past, 24 hours to, 30 hours or so.
There you makes all the sense in the world now, doesn't it? When you see it, that purple swath go across the state, these are the areas that we have been talking about for the last 3 days.
Right. And that's where we expected the greatest amount of rain. And you see here in Tampa, we're in the yellow. We're 2 to 4 inches.
And here's that. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. No, I'm sorry. Eric, continue. That was a mispunch.
So, we saw 2 to 4 inches in Tampa, which isn't much because the track kept going southward. So, I mean, imagine the difference that the 48 hours makes, where it looked like we were going to have a major hurricane coming right into the bay, and, it moved so much further south. By the way, the water is back, JB, in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Remember yesterday, because the east wind was blowing 10 or more feet of water out of Tampa Bay, and it gradually made its way back. I haven't seen any flooding. Everything seems relatively normal, so that's good news.
Good to hear.
Well, good evening. I'm here joined with the First Lady of Florida, Kevin Guthrie, the Director of Division of Emergency Management, Josie Tamayo, Chief Executive Officer of Volunteer Florida, Gracia Check from FEMA, Jim Eifert, Florida National Guard, and John Ferner, President and Chief Executive Officer of Walmart U.S. So welcome to Florida. We're happy that you're here. I just got back from surveying the damage in Charlotte and Leigh counties. And, some of the damage was, almost indescribable to see a house just sitting in the middle of Estero Bay. Literally was have gotten picked up, flown because of the massive wind speed and the storm surge, and deposited in a body of water. There was cars floating in the middle of the water. Some of the homes were total losses. I would say the most significant damage that I saw was on Fort Myers Beach. Some of the homes were wiped out, and some of it was just concrete slabs. Of course, there were damage to some of our infrastructure, particularly the Sanibel Causeway. There were breaks in that in multiple different areas. It was interesting. The pylons on the water where you had that part of the bridge, that actually was good. It was the point where it was on a sandbar that just got totally wiped away, or from the mainland, there was breaks there. So that's going to require major overhaul and potentially a complete rebuild. They're going to look at it and see. That's the only way on Sanibel and Captiva Island. So the operations to help people there have been mostly by air. In all told, search and rescue operations, it started in the wee hours of the morning. As soon as the winds died down enough to where it was safe, you had Coast Guard assets, you had urban search and rescue teams. We've had the National Guard out assisting people. There have been more than 700 confirmed rescues, and there's likely many more than that that will be confirmed as more data comes in. People have been rescued from places like Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Marco Island, as well as the Barrier Islands in Charlotte County. Obviously, there was a lot of calls coming in as the storm was really raging yesterday. People who did not evacuate were hunkered down. There was storm surge. There was a lot of apprehension, understandably. When initially the first responders came this morning, people would wave them down, whether they were by helicopter, boat, or high water vehicle. Now what they're finding is on places like Sanibel, most of the residents are just waving thank you for coming, but they say that they're fine and that they're staying put. Now, I think that there's going to be issues with being on some of those islands because they're not going to have services like we expect for quite some time, given the limitations of transportation. But nevertheless, that's a sign that some of the folks who did ride it out are stabilized in their home. First responders are doing targeted searches, just going home by home, checking to see if people are okay, and then responding to specific reports if they're missing loved ones. There will, of course, be many more rescues that are added to the tiller. Now, we we absolutely expect to have mortality from this hurricane, but I'll just caution people, there's a process by where that is confirmed, and there's people, I know that people have said certain things. In terms of confirmed, that will be made apparent over the coming days, but I think the things that have been said out there, that is not something that has been confirmed at this juncture. Of course, we have thousands and thousands of people on the ground working to restore power, opening the roads, bringing in food and water, and restoring communications. Talking with local folks in Leigh County, probably the biggest immediate hurdle that they're facing is their county water utility had a big water main break. That is necessary to be fixed in order to provide basic water services for the residents of the county. So they have been working to troubleshoot it. They requested the state to enlist federal support to help diagnose and potentially fix the problem. So we worked with FEMA and Gracia, and the Army Corps of Engineers came in. I mean, they came in pretty early. I think Kevin called them maybe like 3 in the morning. They were in Southwest Florida from Jacksonville by early this afternoon. And so they're helping to diagnose and hopefully be able to remedy that. But that's going to be something that's very, very important for the county to get fixed. In the meantime, we are assisting healthcare facilities to provide working water because they need that to be able to take care of their patients. We're shuttling water from Lakeland into healthcare facilities. Right now, there are about 20 trucks en route with 60,000 gallons of water for a total of 1.2 million gallons of water. And I think they have been able to fix some of the water ish. One of the 3 hospitals has actually been able to fix the water problem there. So that's good news. Port Tampa, Port Everglades, the fuel is flowing in to some of our major ports. And so you're seeing a lot of fuel now flowing throughout the state. More than 330,000 gallons of fuel have already been moved in to Southwest Florida. I actually saw a couple of the gas stations open in the Fort Myers area when we were there today. With this fuel, the state of Florida set up 6 fuel depots to fully support all first response efforts. And we think the remaining ports in the state of Florida will open between sometime tomorrow and sometime on Saturday. There's been a massive amount of supplies staged. We're also bringing more into the region, more ambulances, more food, water, and ice, more generators, more. Actually, we're bringing in 2 full-service mechanical shops to help to repair and maintain emergency vehicles, which, they're in rugged conditions when you're going through water and others. Bringing in more tarps, bringing in kits for parents of infants and toddlers to give them 10 days worth of support, and bringing in more high water ladders. Now, as of 6 p.m., there are 2.6 million approximately reported power outages throughout the state of Florida, and that was anticipated. So far, compared to this morning, 200,000 accounts have been restored in Southwest Florida, 28,000 in Leigh, 62,000 in Sarasota, 14,000 in Collier, 33,000 in Manatee, 12,000 in Charlotte, and 44,000 in Hillsborough have been restored. Of course, the pre-staging for this was over 42,000 linemen, so they're there on the ground, really in different parts of the state, but particularly in Southwest Florida. When they first got in there, of course, they're looking to see what is the damage, how much of our infrastructure has been destroyed, how much of it has held up. And I can tell you, when we were in Charlotte, the reports were generally positive that a lot of that infrastructure had been able to weather the storm. You still have to work, obviously, to reconnect the power, but in some areas you may need to rebuild from the ground up. In other areas where the infrastructure maintained integrity, you would be more just trying to rehook everything. So that's a 24/7 process. So if anybody sees some of the utility trucks pulled over somewhere and maybe someone getting rest, understand they're working constant shifts and everyone's on the clock the whole time, and they don't actually ever have a time where people are not working. So we really appreciate that because we understand how important it is for folks to have those basic services resume. There have, of course, been damages to cell phone towers, particularly in places like Leigh County. Telecom companies have brought in, they earmarked 100 cell phone towers being set up, and many of those are being set up in Southwest Florida. I've been able to speak with the CEOs of both AT&T and T-Mobile. While there have been damages, a lot of their infrastructure has weathered the storm fairly well. So while there may need to be repairs, they feel good about getting up service. And I know some people do have service in those areas, and we were able to see that. FDOT had more than 1,200 personnel on the ground, and I'm happy to report the road situation is by and large really good. I think if I was just talking with Kevin before we came out here, if we were here yesterday at like noon, thinking about what the road situation would look like, I think we thought that there would have been way more roads that were blocked by debris. Of course, we did have the Sanibel. I mean, there are issues, but there's also a lot of roads where the traffic is flowing on I-75 without a problem, and most of the other roads are doing really well. Sunshine Skyway Bridge has reopened, and so we were happy to see that. Most school districts throughout the state will be reopening either Friday or Monday. Obviously, Leigh and some of those areas may be a little bit different calculation for them. We're thankful that FEMA has activated individual assistance for Floridians who've been affected by this storm. If you are in need of help recovering, visit disasterassistance.gov or call 1-800-621-3362. FEMA has approved our request to add some of the Central Florida counties into the individual assistance. Kevin will have more details on that, but we appreciate that because you look at the images, like you can see a house that's been totaled on Fort Myers Beach, and obviously it's a very sad thing to see. You can see boats that have been flipped over or cars that have been flipped over, and those are very striking images. But as the storm has moved through the state, it has caused a lot of problems with really historic flooding in parts of Central Florida and into Northeast Florida. And so it's important that those folks also have the ability to get assistance if they need it. Over 8,700 people have already registered with FEMA. If you're gonna make a claim, take a picture. If you've had flooding, take a picture of the water line on your house. Make sure you're documenting the damage. Jimmy Petronis, our chief financial officer, is going to be doing insurance villages at these disaster recovery sites. So if you go in, now you don't need to go in to get FEMA assistance. You can do it online. But if you have questions, you go in. You can have people from the different insurance carriers. Jimmy's also going to help people who have NFIP flood policies to be able to file those claims and get those claims paid as soon as possible. And we expect that will be done without much delay from the insurance carriers. We're happy that a lot of businesses have committed to provide our first responders and volunteers with sustenance. Culver's, Firehouse Subs, Burger King, Four Rivers Smokehouse, Anna Maria Oyster Bar, and Texas Roadhouse, and we think many more will want to come and also offer assistance. For those who are coming in as either first responders or linemen, Buc-ee's is giving away meals and soft drinks. If you stop in their Daytona location, you'll be able to avail yourself of some really good stuff there. We're continuing, as Kevin has said, these first 72 hours are really life safety, and then working to restore the main services, power, fuel, and communications. And there's massive numbers of people on the ground working 24/7 to do that. Of course, it's too early to know exactly what the needs of everybody is going to be, but we obviously anticipate some Floridians may end up being displaced from their homes, and the First Lady is spearheading efforts with Volunteer Florida to activate the Florida Disaster Fund, where people can donate. And it's much better to donate financially than to send items, and we really appreciate the thought when people want to send water, they want to send these things, but Florida DEM and others have been contracted for this, so this stuff is there. The best thing you can do if you're going to give a financial contribution, that can go to some of these organizations that are a little bit more nimble with how they help people. FEMA, Gracia will say, you have statutes and you have regulations and you have things. You either qualify for certain types of individual assistance or you don't. They're not able to go outside of what Congress has decreed on that. A private organization, if you have more unique needs that maybe aren't covered by that program, they can meet those needs. And so providing the cash assistance is the best way to do that. If you want to contribute, go to www.floridadisasterfund.org or text disaster to 2022. Actually, what is it? It's more than 20222. Okay. Well, I'll let the First Lady do that because she does it better than me. They put text to 2022 on this, and that I know it's more than that. I'm not a text guy, but I do know you need more numbers than that. All right. For those who want to come volunteer in person, that's another way where you can really be helpful. And Volunteer Florida has a website for that, www.volunteerflorida.org, if you want to see volunteer opportunities. And we would certainly welcome individuals that want to give, obviously, their money, but also their personal time and effort. Okay, Kevin Guthrie's here with some additional updates.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, First Lady, for your going out to the area today and doing some on-site assessments. We're entering that phase of the response where we start to really get into what's referred to as indirect deaths. Myself and the governor have been mentioning this now for quite some time. Generator safety, generator safety, generator safety. Now we're going to start adding chainsaw safety, getting on ladders, getting on roofs, watching out for power lines that are mixed inside of trees. People need to be extremely careful. If you do not know how to use a chainsaw, if you do not know how to climb a ladder, if you do not know what the difference is between a cable line and a power line, you should not be doing that. Leave that to the professionals. Again, as the governor indicated 2 days ago, we have significantly more indirect deaths from disasters that are 100% avoidable than we do the disaster itself. So please be safe. Drone pilots. We're starting to have some issues with drone pilots in areas. Please do not operate your drones in the areas where we have military aircraft, search and rescue aircraft working. When you go in there with their drone or your drone, they have to stop working. Please stay out of the area and let us do our job. Similarly, we saw it down in Fort Myers today. People are wanting to go out and look at the damage. For every car that's going down a street, that's preventing a power line crew from getting in there and working. It's preventing a search and rescue crew from getting in there and working. Please stay outside these areas so that we can get in there. Power outages are being restored. The governor read through a laundry list of individuals that are having power restored. We did hear a question earlier today about, well, it's still 2.6 million. It was 2.6 million this morning. Jacksonville has been hit. We have power outages in Duval County, St. Johns County, Nassau County, Baker County. So those are going to offset here for a little while. FPL, the Municipal Electric Association and its municipal electric partners, the cooperative electric programs are getting their stuff turned back on. Please be patient. We have every faith and trust in them to restore the power. However, in places where we're going to have to rebuild infrastructure, that's going to take longer, as the governor mentioned. Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Pine Island, that's going to take some time. In those areas, we do have some other challenges. There's potentially vehicles in the water, there are potentially boats in the water, there is potentially debris in the water. We will be working with our federal partners to mission assign or ask the mission assign special resources to go in there and start looking under the water to do an underwater survey to ensure that we can actually get the necessary barges and heavy equipment into those areas to respond effectively. I think this is an appropriate time to say, Gracia, thank you very much for all your assistance. Admiral McPherson as well as the TAG, General Eifert, has been with me since day one, sitting here. He was there at 0700, which means he had to leave St. Augustine at 04 something. Thank you very much. We continue to mobilize additional resources to impacted areas. Specifically today, we did more than 400 bottles of oxygen, 100 ambulances, an additional 120 utility trucks, 4 mobile triage units. These are specific units to help triage patients if somebody becomes injured. We do have hospitals that have some issues and cannot intake patients. So this is the ability to triage individuals for that. 60 truckloads of water, 40 truckloads of meals, 40 truckloads of ice. That was a question earlier a couple of days ago. We have brought in additional pet foods, supplies for displaced pets. 5 truckloads of blankets, 5 truckloads of cots, and I believe this was requested earlier by someone, nearly 100,000 tarps. FDM recovery staff are now beginning the process of rapid damage assessments in the impacted counties to expedite all available federal assistance for the disaster recovery. The governor mentioned earlier that additional counties have been added to the Category A debris removal expedited project or expedited declaration and IA or individual assistance. Those counties are Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Polk. Again, these counties are available for 30 days at 100% in federal assistance. I am going to turn to Grace and ask, what is that website that we need to direct everyone to for mobile intake?
For registration.
For registration.
For survivors, it is disasterassistance.org.
Disasterassistance.org. So again, we're proud that 8,700 people have already done that, and we want to continue to do as much as we can via web registration. Again, Governor, First Lady, thank you so much for your leadership today.
Okay, First Lady.
All right, well, flying over the devastation and destruction firsthand, all I can say is, our hearts and our prayers are with so many people who are suffering, which is why about 24 hours ago, we launched the Disaster Relief Fund. And I'm happy to say that after 24 hours, we have raised more than $10 million into that fund. And if you remember this morning, just at 8 a.m., we came out here and we talked with you. I think it was at 1.6 million. So now we're over $10 million. So I just want to say thank you to all of the great Floridians who stepped up to support our efforts and all of the people across the country who are helping Floridians. Thank you. We are going to make a big difference to help get resources immediately to those people who need them most. Amazon, we want to thank them. Entin, Ian McKetney, Florida Blue, Lanier, Walmart, we'll be hearing from them in just a second, donated $1 million. Boeing, Publix, Simply Healthcare, Airbnb, Tico Energy, Wells Fargo, Verizon, CVS, Duke Energy, Goldman Sachs, Rumble, Florida Power and Light, National Christian Foundation, the PGA Tour, and Horn, just to name a few. And that doesn't even go into all of the donations that came in from people who are giving $5 and $10. And thank you so much for what you're doing. Also want to say thank you to Tom Brady, who put on his website a special shout out to the defense, or to our fund, the Florida Disaster Fund, that got a lot of attention and raised a lot of money. So thank you for your support of your community. Also, thank you to Visa, Amex, PayPal, and Braintree. They are waiving their fees, so all of this money will go directly to servicing the people in need. And again, as the governor mentioned, one of the important things to understand about this fund and why it's so important is because we are getting needs instantaneously into the EOC, into the Emergency Operations Center. And so we're able then to communicate those needs to those nonprofits on the ground so we can meet them quickly. And so these funds make a big difference to help micro-target what we're seeing. And again, when we are flying over Leigh County and some of these areas that were just devastated, they are going to need things like foods and tarps and what have you. And so what is not being supplemented by the state, which is a lot, we will be able to do in the private sector. So again, to give the website, floridadisasterfund.org, and you can also text disaster to 20222. And God bless you and thank you for your support.
Okay. All right, Volunteer Florida, Josie Tamayo.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank you on behalf for being here. And first of all, I want to thank, the First Lady and the Governor for their leadership in this. And I must say it is a record amount of money that we have now received for the disaster fund. And I want to thank, obviously, our partners, our corporate partners. I will say to you, we have been on the phone calling people, and they have been giving to people in Florida specifically with needs, and we plan to make very good use of that money. And I want to thank each and every person that has reached out, called, and specifically for those in the storm's path that are now recovering. And so these funds will go for response and recovery. We will be doing that, looking at all of that very carefully. And I want to thank our corporate partners, specifically Walmart, who has, in fact, Ms. Moni Brown is on our foundation. And this fund is administered through our Volunteer Florida Foundation. So on behalf of everyone, I want to thank you all for being, specifically want to thank the First Lady for her leadership on this, and the Governor, and everyone who is called in need. And please, I want to tell you, if you want to volunteer, please go to our website at volunteerflorida.org. We have someone standing by that can connect you with nonprofits that are in need of volunteers, and also www.floridadisasterfund.org or text disaster to 20222. And I will say there will be a banner at the FSU football game this weekend with our Florida Disaster Fund, and also USF has agreed to do that. And in my mind, I'm going to get every college team to do that in Florida as long as we need them. Thank you so much, and thank you, First Lady and Governor.
Okay, we're happy to have John Furner, President and Chief Executive Officer of Walmart.
Good evening, and thank you, Governor and First Lady, for coming together today, and also for your team's quick response following just the devastation that we're seeing from the hurricane. So I'm proud to be with you here in Florida tonight, representing Walmart, to further discuss how Walmart will continue partnering with all of you and your team while we continue to respond to the devastation of the storm. Supporting communities is core to Walmart, and Florida is our community. Many of our associates, customers, and members all across Florida are feeling the effects of the extensive damage caused by this storm. And like all of you, we've been closely monitoring its track to ensure that we stay in tune with what our stores, our clubs, our supply chain teams need to be doing to serve before, during, and after this storm. So in preparation for the response and recovery, we've strategically placed things like generators, refrigerated trailers, merchandise, and additional personnel in the right locations to give us the best opportunity to resume operations as soon as it's safe to do so. We have 385 stores and clubs here in Florida, 9 distribution centers, and at one point today, 244 of those were closed. And we think over the next day or so, we'll have the majority of those back open and operating. So we've helped relocate associates living in mandatory evacuation zones, and we're carrying out wellness checks for those living in the other impacted areas. Now, throughout all of this, our thoughts and our prayers remain with those who are impacted, and we are moving quickly to help. To that end, on behalf of Walmart, Sam's Club, and the Walmart Foundation, I'm announcing our commitment of up to $6 million for recovery and relief efforts. And this level of support does include, First Lady, now a $1.5 million investment to support the Florida Disaster Fund, donations of essential supplies, and grants to local and national organizations who are here on the ground supporting relief efforts. Now, what we do know is Walmart customers, members, and our associates are the most general people that we know. And as part of this investment, we're also launching a national customer and member giving campaign at our stores and clubs, and an associate donation campaign through Walmart's Associate Giving Program. And we understand our responsibility to the communities we serve, and we'll proudly work side by side with each and every one of you to ensure we're doing everything we can along with our first responders to restore our communities as quickly as possible. And this includes mobilizing resources and services to those people who need them. So as a company and as fellow Floridians, when our friends, our neighbors, and our loved ones need help, we will gladly step forward to support them. Thank you.
Okay, so we're very much monitoring the impacts that we're seeing in other parts of the state other than Southwest Florida, and I know Kevin is working on. We're going to obviously have a big response in Southwest Florida, but when you talk about FEMA, some of these other things, there's going to be a need to be response in some of these other parts of the state on an individual basis, and so I know he's working on that. And we're going to be back down in all these areas and working hard to make sure that we can get people back on their feet. And with that, it takes some questions.
I know that a lot of people are questioning what the casualty count is, and I know you addressed it, but is the state at least preparing for a large casualty situation, given what we heard from the Leigh County Sheriff as well as the President earlier today?
Well, I mean, I think it's a massive storm. I mean, I think we anticipate casualties. I think Kevin made a good point about how many are going to happen from the time it hits on. We've stressed to try to minimize both, obviously, but we're now in the situation where there's going to be hazards out where people can be in harm's way still. Just because the storm has passed does not mean that there's not additional hazards. operating things like generators, standing. Now, fortunately, I was looking, there wasn't as much standing water as I was anticipating. I think that the storm surge that they had feared in Charlotte, while they did get water, there was flooding. I don't think it was at quite the level that was initially feared. Obviously, in Leigh, you had a massive storm surge at the barrier islands. You did have some on the mainland, but I saw the roads by and large clear. There were a couple roadways where I saw where there was water. So hopefully some of those hazards are minimized. I think if you look at the most significant storm in the history of Florida was Okeechobee in the 20s, and you guys can look it up. But I don't think we would be anywhere approaching that.
We've heard, just anecdotally from various local officials, the total would be about 16 people right now dead. You're not confirming that. But I'm wondering, as you're getting out to these barrier islands now, are you getting people off these islands? You are not finding massive numbers of dead people on these islands?
That is correct. I think but at the same time, they're going to see people that may be visibly in need or knocking on doors, and most of them are saying, I'm fine. If there's no answer, I don't know that they're going into those homes. Now, many of those homes are vacation homes and seasonal residents, so we'll see. Now, there are so what will be confirmed as storm related, that will happen, relatively soon. I can tell you that there have been some non-storm related fatalities as well. I mean, for example, in Charlotte County, they reported a suicide during the storm. They also had somebody pass away from a heart attack because you don't have access to emergency services for a certain period of time. And so that could have been somebody, that would have gone to the hospital. So there's a lot of those things. They're working through it, and we'll see. But I can say, I think, Kevin, there's not been in these rescue efforts, deceased people found as of yet. Now that may change, of course, as they do more, but they've been able to lift a lot of people out of those islands, and I know a lot of those people have been happy. But increasingly, there are people who are happy that people are out there looking out for them, but say thank you, we're good. I don't know that is necessarily they're going to want to do that over the long term, because if there's structural damage for some of the underlying services, it's just going to take a little longer for the utilities to be able to get that up and running. But nevertheless, that's the posture a lot of them have taken.
Can you give us a sense, to that point, can you give us a sense of what recovery is going to look like in the hardest hit areas, especially in Leigh County, it sounds like? Are we talking about, displacement for months and months on end? Are they going to be able to, are they going to have to send their kids to different schools? Are there schools that are just not going to be able to open for
Well, I think they're all still assessing that. I think that they're looking to see exactly how many people are going to be displaced. Clearly, you have some homes that were a total loss. There's no question about that. How many of those were rental homes? How many of those were permanent residents? I think people are still looking at how many of those were seasonal homes for seasonal residents. I think they're sorting all of that out. As more people come forward, they are keeping the shelters open in Leigh County in case people have been displaced and they need a place to stay. Obviously, with FEMA offering individual assistance, people who are going to need housing assistance are going to be able to sign up and get that. So I think you'll have a better sense at that point. But my sense would be, just kind of looking at it, Sanibel had some serious destruction and a lot of destruction on some of the underlying infrastructure, which is obviously important. I mean, they used to not have a bridge there. It would take like a ferry back and forth. Now you're back to kind of before that causeway was there. Fort Myers Beach, really, really serious damage. Some of the other places, when you're in a helicopter looking over, I see the homes are intact. I didn't see massive debris in some of the neighborhoods, but you also don't know how much flood damage that they had, because that water could have been 4 feet at this time yesterday, and then it subsided. And so that will all be things I think that people will determine as the days go on. But I think the folks in Leigh, are prepared for some level of displacement. And I know Kevin has worked and FEMA has worked on some solutions, but I don't know that we know exactly how many. Kevin, do you want to add about what you're seeing so far?
So I agree with the governor wholeheartedly on the damage assessment so far. And again, this is aerial damage assessment, flying into the area, flying around, a little bit of the ground transportation that we were doing. I will just add to it, the next step in this recovery process is we will, I say we in support of the local counties will open up points of distribution where we will have food, water, potentially ice, depending on the situation. And I want to manage that expectation. Ice is usually given to help keep cold medications cold. So if that's the situation, you will be given ice. We will be providing tarps to those counties that have requested tarps so that they can do some emergency repairs. We are looking at turning on a program called the Blue Roof Program, which is slightly different than a tarp through FEMA. And I'm sure FEMA will action that over to the U.S. Army Corps. The next phase of that is going to be the disaster recovery centers that we will open up in the individual counties. This is a place where, again, as the governor has mentioned before, we will team up with the CFO's office to have insurance villages. We will team up with individuals like Department of Economic Opportunity to come in and help people with small business situations. We will team with the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, the Department of Health, vital records, ID cards, driver's licenses, and things like that have been lost. And the other state agency that's helped us out there's a laundry list of Human Services, Department of Elder Affairs, Veterans Affairs, Children's and Families, and so on. So all of those will start to be set up over the next probably week or so. It just all depends on when we can get water restored to Leigh County and the impacted area, and when we can get power restored to the impacted area. As those things happen, we'll move in very quickly with recovery services. I don't want to steal it from the governor, but the governor will be dispatching me to the area. We talked about this on the plane. I will probably be down in the area, in the most impacted area, for probably 30 days or more to ensure that the recovery is being handled effectively and remove any type of bureaucratic issues that might be going on.
Governor, you've been in frequent conversation with the White House during this devastating time for Florida. What does it look like when the president comes to town? What's your plan?
I don't know if he's announced he's coming or not. I know that the FEMA administrator, she will be here tomorrow, or if not today. And so we'll be working. I don't know if she's planning on traveling with us on all our itinerary, but she's welcome to do that. We're going to be back down in Southwest Florida, but we're also working to see other impacted areas throughout the state to go and potentially visit, meet with folks and see what they need. So, at the end of the day, I view this as something that you got folks that are in need, and local, federal, state, we have a responsibility to work together. I tell you, the way the locals have worked really hard, it's been really impressive to watch, because this is not an easy thing to deal with. It's also not an easy thing when you have forecasts all over the map and you're not necessarily sure where it's going. Naples and Fort Myers were out of the cone 72 hours before the storm actually made landfall. And as that changed, they pivoted and they put their plans in action. So it's been really good. And obviously, Kevin and his team have done a great job. Having so many things pre-positioned. But every request we've asked from FEMA has been approved. So we appreciate that, and we want to make sure.
So we would plan on seeing him while he's in town, no matter when it is.
Is he coming?
From what I understand, he will be here tomorrow.
Okay. Did you know that? Yeah, I don't know if that's the case. With the FEMA administrators here, maybe, so we'll see. But at the end of the day, we want all the support that we can get, because we understand that there's a lot of need out there, and these are good communities. The thing is these are resilient folks. These are really, really good folks down there, and they will bounce back, but we just need to make sure that we can kind of pave the way for them. All right, we'll see you guys in the morning. Thank you.
Back here with you live in your hurricane headquarters on Tracking the Tropics. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Governor Ron DeSantis speaking at the Tallahassee, basically the State Emergency Operations Center, and giving us some updates there, some important updates, and also discussing how President Biden, as we understand it, the report is that he will be coming to town. That is the beep letting us know the feed is over. But Eric, obviously the more pressing matter, obviously, President Biden coming to town is to be expected when we have a disaster of this magnitude.
That's right. Any president towards the damage.
Yeah, that happens.
Sooner than later, definitely.
So, folks, we are going to... Was there any last-minute things that you wanted to touch on, Eric,
no. Like I said, the rain is kind of moving out of here, and... things are gonna start looking better for our area, and we're gonna continue to survey this damage. I'm sure tomorrow, there's gonna be more video, more pictures as more people and linemen come down, and all we can do is just ask for prayers for everyone, especially in Southwest Florida.
I would like to thank everybody out there who was asking questions and trying to, ask questions about where they can get information. Hopefully we were able to answer as many of those questions as possible, and we're thinking about you guys out there. Hoping that everybody is safe, and I'm thinking about the people out there that are still without power, that might be stranded. Our resources are on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We look forward to resuming our coverage tomorrow, that being Friday. And we're going to, of course, do as much as we can to help you out there. Our broadcast coverage team now picks things up for us, and we'll be streaming our newscast on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I do know that there were some people who reached out. I want to hear feedback from our moderators, our YouTube moderators. I would like to hear from you how we can make the the experience better for our commenters on YouTube Live, and also as well on TikTok. Hello, there's like 5 of you guys there, something like that. But hello to all 5 of you. I hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope you guys found this live stream informational and helpful. And to all the people who have applied to be moderators, and you do that by emailing me at jbiunno@wfla.com. It will take a few days to a week for me to really be able to respond to that and work with our team here to get you the resources to apply to be a moderator. You don't just get the moderator wrench if you have to. There is a process that you have to go through to get that. Our moderators know what I'm talking about. And so we will, of course, try to make that happen. The more moderators that we have that are on the same page, understand our philosophy with moderating, the better our comment section is and the more welcoming. Big thank you again, an end of day thank you to Eric Stone, meteorologist here at WFLA. Really appreciate your time, Eric, and your expertise and your uncanny know-all expertise of Florida geography.
It's my pleasure. It's a pleasure working with you, JB.
A pleasure working with you too, sir. And the very latest, folks, on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. And I'll be on social media, checking social media for the very latest as well. You can connect with me at WFLAJB across every platform now, including TikTok. Eric, your handles are?
It's WFLA Eric, both on Facebook and Twitter, and Meteorologist Eric Stone on Instagram.
So for the last time this Thursday, September 29th, 2022, we say farewell from the WFLA Now Stream Center. Eric, let's give a wave.
Hi, everyone.
Guys, look, to everybody out there without power, I'm thinking of you. I'm sending you my prayers, and I will be on social media, staying connected with people, trying to do whatever I can to provide you with resources and information and point you guys in the right direction. Or if I can answer those questions, I will do my very best to do so. Really appreciate everybody joining us here across all platforms. This will be concluding our streaming coverage. Again, the very latest on WFLA.com, the WFLA app.
Thank you for watching Tracking the Tropics. Thank you for watching Tracking the Tropics. Thank you for watching Tracking the Tropics.